Well, hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to the SCC to kick off this week of SMITE, at least here in the studio. Of course, if you've been watching, I guess, the community tournaments, things have been going on. You watched patch notes yesterday, a really, really fantastic update, I think, that's going to be coming out on Tuesday. Definitely going to change some things going into Week 5, and potentially, I guess, for SBL playoffs a few weeks after that. Of course, if you're wondering what you can see the rest of the week, we've got the schedule up and ready for you to go ahead and take a peek see at that one. Again, yesterday, we had some solo laners in here, hung out with them. We also did Waiting Room if you had seen it. If not, you can always go to youtube.com/SmitePro, and of course, youtube.com/SmiteVod for anything that you happen to miss in the art show, the update show, some dev insight. Today we're starting things off with the SCC in Europe, kicking it off with 2 then SPL sets, closing out with the NA SCC, and that's going to be the sandwich on the weekend. I have a lot of sets this weekend that I'm really looking forward to. Of course, Kings and Warriors is hands down the one that's taken my attention the most, but I also think that very first one today, the Ferrymen and the Leviathans, has a lot more behind it than maybe we would expect, but that's not where we're starting. Rolling it back just a couple hours before that, where the SCC EU is. By the way, it's Gore. I got Mifflin on the desk with me. And Mifflin, today we're going to be watching the Yomi Tanuki, those guys, taking on the Tartarus Titans, those guys. And so it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of names here I think that everybody should be familiar with, some changes that have come through on some of these teams, and others who we have seen find some success, sometimes spills. I actually think maybe it was last week we had watched the Titans and the Scarabs, I believe, play. And if I remember correctly, the Scarabs turned things around on top of the Titans. So this is a team that we have seen do well in the past. We've seen usually max out, though, kind of middle out in the standings, and so still looking for as many wins as they can get.
Yeah, the Tartarus Titans, for those of you keen-eyed fans at home who have been watching the SEC for a while, might remind you of the previous Just F6 roster. That's Listimics, Masskill, Zany, Dazer, and Toddy. I'm really excited to see how this team performs. It seems like they're still trying to get a lock on the meta. And fortunately for them on the other side, Yomi Tanuki, Deathwalker, Ice Ice, Zeros, Emilito, and Streak Up had to go through a roster change recently. Rot went out, Emilito out of ADC, now to support, and Streak Up joins the team.
That one blows my mind. I'm actually really excited to see that because I don't think, at least I didn't see the Tanuki set last week. And so I'm really pumped to see what they have to offer for us as we jump into game 1. Picks and bans here. And Mifflin, the one thing that we've been seeing a lot lately, and it kind of has trickled down, but I expect to still hold true specifically in Europe. Hercules has been really popular. Would not be surprised with some of the solo lane names I see in this set to try and take that. I also wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Horus has been really high up on the list. Marty has been high up on the list. It feels like there's quite a few gods to go for and maybe too many to ban.
Gore, it's culture shock every time we move from the SPL over to the SEC, where we become accustomed to this established meta in the SPL, where maybe Hercules is that top pick, or Horus is getting banned out consistently, or Ishtar starts to follow through, or Aphrodite starts to make it into more games. The SEC is a different beast, and I feel like their bans, their picks, maybe have shades of similarities, like the Vamana seeing some priority, pretty similar. The Nox getting banned out on the other side, but they're always going to throw one curveball at you, and this time it's Hebo, first pick overall. It's a strong pick. It's one that has flexibility, can go towards mid, can go towards the jungle. Either way, going to bring a good deal of burst to your team, as well as some decent late-game team fight utility, thanks to that Alice the Yellow River. But does have some counter matchups that could make it difficult to exist, which is why we don't generally see it first pick overall in the SPL. It's usually, okay, we'll get it as that last pick going into the second phase of bans, or right after second phase of bans, so you can alleviate some of those counter selections. As of now, the Tartarus Titans have not elected to take any of them, but they're there.
They're there. It's just waiting, right? Trying to figure out where they're going to be. I'm very excited to watch how these shake out. We also get the Sobek back, which it feels like it's been a while. Essentially, Trickstank not playing in the SCC this year, and Sobek kind of went with him, not completely, but kind of did disappear with him. And so seeing that alongside the Ishtar is always really fun. But look, if you're playing a tier list, man, you got Marty, Hebo, Hercules on one side. Feels like you're doing things incredibly well. Of course, with some of the bans, it limits maybe the top of the top that we've been seeing lately. Mercury closes it out for the top 3 for the Titans. That has been an insane hyper carry that we've been seeing lately, alongside things like the Bakasura. It feels like, even though I will say the Tanuki have the tier lists in my favor, I really like the aggression the Titans can pick up.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans draft not bad by any means, but if we were to, apples to apples, feels like Yomi Tanuki have come away with a much stronger top 3. Second phase of bans, Terra Kepri away from the Titans, Yomi Tanuki, take away the Odin and the Guan Yu. This does leave the option available now for a double Hunter composition for Yomi Tanuki. You could take CERN into that ADC role, toss Marty towards mid, having Hebo out of the jungle with a Hercules solo. Just feels like that could be potentially the strongest draft maybe in the game right now. Considering how much success each one of those individual picks has had and how that style of composition tends to roll out into that mid to late game phase. So won't be CERN this time, instead Rom, but essentially the exact same strategy with a Fafnir to boost all those auto attacks as well. One of the weaknesses of Marty out of mid is that he doesn't necessarily do the most to objectives when you compare to what AMC used to with his attack speed stem. The ability to shred objectives was certainly there. It's one of the primary strengths of a double Hunter composition. You don't necessarily have the burst potential from a Marty. You got it out of the jungle this time. Good for you, Crushing Wave, best confirmation on map. And now you've got the burn potential with a Fafnir double stem.
Well, I'm excited to see how this plays out. Look, I mean, that is kind of a disgusting draft that the Tanuki are able to get away with here. The Titans, a lot of work cut out for them to try and balance this one out. I'm also really interested. We've talked a lot about the Mercury lately. I feel like one of the conversations we've had around him, at least in my mind, has been the fact that he can get pretty hands-on early if he wants, but it isn't uncommon, especially when you shift over to Europe. I would not be surprised if we see Maskill maybe play it safe for a little while, right? Get the rage online before it starts getting aggressive, getting into some of these fights. Maybe not the level 3 that we've gotten used to. Honestly, maybe that goes for most of the Tanuki as well. I mean, do you see any early aggression outside of the Sobek that could potentially crop up, especially from the Order team?
Man, it's hard to say. It's such a strong scaling composition from Yomi Tanuki. I mean, they could get aggressive, generally around level 5s when Ice is going to want to get involved. Besides that, Zeros has some 1v1 potential in lane, thanks to the CC inherent to Marty's kit. Obviously, Deathwalker, a massive threat on map. One bad pull on Alestemix, and he's in the tower, and that's it. But otherwise, concentrated aggression, I don't think necessarily needs to come from the Order side. The Tartarus Titans, on the other hand, they've also got a very strong scaling composition. The Mercury, the Thoth, both going to be late-game powerhouses. The Cthulhu, we've seen how much of a stopper Cthulhu is in the late-game team fight, especially in recent sets in the SPL. But I would argue they'd probably want to get a bit more done in the early compared to Tanuki, just based off this slight draft dip that I'd have to call out. So keep your eyes on Maskill. He's generally one of the more early game slanted junglers. Keep your eyes on Toddy as well. That Ishtar, very threatening this early in the game.
Yeah, it feels like this duo side for the Titans, jungle included, is going to be a lot to handle. And if they're going to find those kills, I mean, you've got a lot of displacement over here. That's probably where you're going to find it. You had mentioned good damage out of mid lane from Zero, so you can see a little bit of that knock-up just off the mark from Ice, and that's going to slow down any aggression or any dreams of aggression they had. And Mifflin, it does come down to, I honestly, at this point, it feels like just Dazer. Whether or not the team's going to do well. I've also gone for the cooldown chart, and this is something, I haven't played it a lot with Sobek, because I just haven't played a lot of Sobek this year. But the concept of, I'm going to go for a pluck, maybe not connecting, and then being able to hit it and hit another pluck, pretty massive. Damage is good. The pluck was there, but it's streak up right now. I was able to get the better into the trade. Toddy takes too much poke, has to fall back. Himmel even leading the way. Hammer's going to be good. Streak up gets plucked into him. Oh, if it wasn't for the knock-up, might have been something a little bit bigger. Toddy returns a lot of that poke, and it seems like that's going to be a little bit of a pause from the duo lane. No junglers over here. So Streak Up's just going to hang out.
Yeah, I like that call from Toddy to use that dash aggressively. I thought once Emilito had landed the stun, it was going to be dash in the tower, end of the fight. But Toddy decides to get aggressive, use the backflip essentially to get back to safety. Purple buff invade attempted. Fafnir not exactly the best. Does connect with the hammer, which is surprising, but a bit too early. So stun connects on a Toddy. Purple buff secured nonetheless. And the Tartarus Titans likely happy with that outcome, considering how bullied they've been in the lane up until this point. Streak Up, meanwhile, able to solo a bit of that minion wave, even backs up to the purple buff on his own. This should put the ADC of the Yomi Tanuki at a slight advantage.
You know, it's funny that you mention it being like surprising he hits that. I feel like we're surprised anytime a Fafnir hammer gets pretty much anything done. And it's just like all you need is like one body in front of that thing, and it just doesn't do what it needs to.
And it's doing like 80 damage right now, maybe.
Yeah. So, well, luckily they, while it gets through, don't lose the purple buff. Maskill was looking for an in-lane gank with the ult, canceled that, goes for the dash. Unfortunately, just too mobile is the duo lane from the Tanuki. Level 5 mark's going to be coming up. Maybe not the immediate aggression for everybody on the Tanuki, but definitely the opening, I think, for a lot of them to start being more comfortable with their aggression. The boulder on the right-hand side as well. Deathwalker has already used it, so I imagine that's going to be more or less the balancing factor in just keeping Cthulhu off of him. But it's the Marty. It's the Hebo in mid. I think this is where their maybe first power spike starts. Outside of the items, right? It looks like the Doom Orb getting started overall for Ice. That, once completed, should be a point where we can start to see some aggression from the jungler on the Tanuki. Otherwise, Maskill's presence alone is enough to make you second-guess things, right? Special delivery, all of a sudden making you a little, let's say, timid in lane, right? Step up too far if you don't have beads, a la Deathwalker or Imelito, then you're going to feel the Mercury's wrath.
Yeah, I think Mercury at this point probably does bring a little bit more value than the Hebo. Ice is going to have damage advantage, but Maskill's got utility advantage as well as global presence, thanks to that Sonic Boom. So in a situation like this, which jungler gets active first? You'd have to discuss, gank opportunities. Where do you want to put that pressure? Ice on Hebo, pretty simplified. Doesn't necessarily need to concern himself too much with the counterplay options of the Tartarus Titans, whereas Mercury certainly does. Water Spout and a Crushing Wave works against everybody. If Water Spout hits you, Crushing Wave's going to hit you, regardless of your relics, regardless of CC immune ultimates, unless they're doing it preemptively on that knockup, which is very difficult to call for. Imelito attempts to steal once more, but the Tartarus Titans able to secure that one for themselves. Maskill, on the other hand, discussing the jungler's options, does have some lanes I would like to see him put pressure towards. Jumping on a Hebo in the jungle, I think it is generally the answer I've come towards when you have to jungle against him.
Just beat him up.
Beat him up, fight him, don't let him farm, don't give him that second item power spike. I would argue 6.5 minutes in, Ice having had 0 pressure put on him and already a slight lead, that boat may have sailed a bit. But there's also Zeros out of mid who's really only got that ultimate for safety up against the damage output of a Mercury, so play around your Thoth, force that ultimate defensively. All of a sudden you've got another option to get involved. Streak Up doesn't really have the best escape options up against Mercury either. So certainly places he could go to put out that pressure. But the Tartarus Titans got eyes on bigger goals.
Yeah, they're going for the Gold Fury. 7 minutes in. Big rotation. Is going to get spotted out. Emel's here, walks forward. Not able to do anything about the Fury. They're looking for a little bit more afterward damage. Decent from Zero. Speeds getting used by the other team. Damage follow-up. I mean, Toddy loses half his HP instantly, but a great ult from Mercury. Throws Zeros under the loop. Snipes. They're too good, too clean. And they get the Fury, but first blood goes over to the Tanuki.
Yeah, Zero's really held on to his ultimate for a long time there. Thought he'd use it for chase down or turning away some of that defense and allowing maybe the tank to fall down as well. Instead, kill secure. Yomi Tanuki's option there. And first blood does mitigate a bit of the loss they had eaten to the Tartarus Titans around the objective on the left-hand side. So the Tartarus Titans get their one. They do escape for the most part, only sacrificing Toddy, but having your Hunter fall down with Streak Up already nursing a slight lead up until this point, controlling the majority of neutral farm, means that Toddy's going to need a bailout sooner rather than later. Stack diff as well, so Devour's Gauntlet's just doing more for Streak Up and Yomi Tanuki. It was one of the options I'd called out for Maskill to get involved on map. Rotate through, leverage that global, maybe get some pressure back onto this ROM. Left alone on an island, I'm not sure that Toddy's going to have a whole lot of fun in this lane.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to enjoy himself. With no beads right now as well.
And a ROM beads, it's like, eh.
Yeah, I guess you don't need it. It's just whether or not Immel shows up. Maybe Ice with a knock-up. Although, if you're using beads for a Hebo knock-up, you've got some insane reaction time.
That's right.
That one, we'll have to keep our eyes on for 70 seconds, whether or not Toddy's going to actually get punished for that. Otherwise, it's just going to be pushing. Mid, though. Maybe a little bit of a different story, a different tale. It's also really interesting to see the First Blood, I think, combating the Fury as much as it did. Specifically to keep the Tanuki into a spot where, I mean, otherwise that's a fantastic play by the Titans, right? One for Fury. Most of the time is absolutely worthwhile. The only reason that it ends up being so even this time around is because it's so early in the game. The Fury hasn't had time to scale up the way that we've kind of gotten used to. And so now, until Pyromancer's up, I mean, these teams haven't looked like they want to fight. I don't honestly think they're going to unless Sobek gets a nasty pluck, which he's looking for. But a good knock-up from Ice. It's going to disrupt the intentions of the Titans. Fight a little bit over the shield buff. Immel going in behind. 15 seconds on the beats for Toddy. They got the shield buff, and that's all that matters.
Man, look at the ward coverage on the left side. Yomi Tanuki knew every single rotation there from the Tartarus Titans. Complete coverage around that Gold Fury. Maybe too little too late. Would have loved to have had it while the Gold Fury was alive, but does prevent aggressive rotations from the Tartarus Titans. It's Emilito who stops both Dazer and Zany on their way in and continues to be annoying in the enemy jungle. Game state, 600 some odd gold separating these teams. Experience, not exactly that large either. Doesn't feel like there's much on map that's going to force any action anytime soon. Pyromancer available, to be sure. And if either team could knock that down before the Fury respawns, desyncing neutrals, taking the lead going into the Gold Fury could be important, but it's the EU SEC. We know they want to take it slow. They love playing around that team fight. It's a very orthodox style of play here. So no risk in the early.
Immel plucked under tower. Uses the ult for immunity. Actually going to turn this around. Good hammer. I guess in this case it's the spit. Helps Streak Up get a kill, but they trade 1 for 1. Support for support. A lot of investment, though, from the Titans to make sure that one goes down. Streak Up falls back. Has a small lead over Toddy thanks to that kill. They're going to let this one rest. I actually do want to talk a little bit about the duo lane. Not only the beautiful pluck there from Dazer and kind of showcasing, I think, why you want the Sobek, but even though they got to touch on it a little last week, I think talking about the fact that it's Emilito right now is pretty insane. Also, 42 HP, mass kill. Actually just insane. Pyromancer goes the way of the Titans, but it is Immel that I want to look at. Just because, and I might get crucified for saying it this way, but it feels like the Immel we saw that dominated in seasons 2 and 3, right, that everyone remembers. And the Immel that we've gotten the last few years aren't at the same level, right? I'm kind of curious if you like the shimmy over to support to make up room for Streak Up, or if you maybe think there should have been... Is Streak Up better than Immel in this role? That's what I'm trying to get you to say, and I'm just going to shoot straight for it.
Well, the conversation is multifaceted, as always. Can you tell I've been media trained? The conversation around Emilito and his ability compared to his relative skill level in the past, I would argue that the skill level of SMITE in general has just gone up.
Yeah, he might actually be in the exact same spot.
He might be better. It's just not a whole lot better, right? So with everybody else getting so much better at SMITE, I mean, you could take a group of 5 Grandmasters level players today and drop them at the Season 2 World Championship, and they'd probably sweep the field. It wouldn't be close. I think that's probably a large part of the conversation. Does Emilito have the capacity to catch up with the rest of the league and step up to every other hunter in role? Maybe, but that would be a large dedication of time, whereas I know for a fact Emil has taken a good deal of breaks throughout the last couple of years. So is he as good as Streak Up at hunter? I'd argue no. I think this is probably just a blanket better team than it was with Rotwin on it.
And it honestly makes sense, right? They wouldn't make this. They wouldn't put Immel in that role
if they thought he was
think-
better than Streak
yeah,
Up.
if they thought that it was detrimental for him. So I think, like you said, it speaks to the thought process here, the Tanuki. They're up 2-1 in terms of kills, 13.5 minutes in. Dancing around the Fury, but they're fishing for a kill, not the objective. And I'm surprised they're actually going to just leave it at that. The ward coverage, you had mentioned it earlier, but it's been pretty insane from the Tanuki on this side. They're going to not opt for this one with that Pyromancer not too long ago for the Titans. Gold has separated between them, right? 1,300. Which split across all 5 isn't going to be back-breaking, but it is making up for the ward coverage. You can see the Rage now finished for Maskill. Maybe that's where they get aggressive. Transformation from Immel. As the team starts up the Oni Fury, there's going to be the Coerce. They're looking for the burn. They leash it. Not able to find Maskill. Pick up the objective one more time. Dazer push against the wall with the CC zone from Deathwalker. It's enough to get the Fury. They aren't going to find any kills afterward. Fishing a little bit, looking for someone. Unable to get the lockdown. So it's a Fury and run from the Tanuki.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Tanuki weren't able to punish Maskill a bit more there. Stun connects from Emelito. And you got to believe that's probably one of the lower distance abilities in the game. Very telegraphed that Emelito's looking for it. A knockup from Ice Ice or a pullback from Deathwalker would have likely either secured the beads from Maskill or just his life if he was playing a bit slow. Instead, has this opportunity, getting aggressive, dash forward, but an ultimate buys some time.
Oh my god! The damage from Streak Up there. Look, he doesn't get the
Yeah.
kill. He does still die. Toddy puts the final marks on that one, but Maskill, he goes for the gank and ends up getting TKO'd for a moment there. Still gets the assist, still gets a kill for his carry. And so Mifflin, doesn't matter how low the health bar got, the job got done. And that's what matters over on the left. Doesn't look like this Cthulhu's going to be suffering a similar fate either. So it's a kill pickup for the Titans. Again, a small chip back at the Tanuki, given what we've seen. But it keeps Maskill on the board while Streak Up's still gone for another 5. They're going to make a play for the Pyro. Too much presence from the Order side. Zones them out. And it seems like both teams here are kind of doing the heat check. See what the reaction time would be. Titans, Tanuki, too much around the Pyro itself. But not anymore. So the Tanuki step up. Zeros playing inside the mist. Dazer should have eyes on this in a second, but is it going to be too late? Too much damage is there. No, the Titans! He takes it away! And Dazer, earning a paycheck today, makes sure that the Tanuki aren't pulling too far ahead.
Did Ice Ice miss his ultimate there? I mean, that's what it looked like. Couldn't say to be sure. I mean, just could have been just mistimed on the crushing wave. Either way, that's why you got to go for plays like that. That's the age-old call of, sure, I should never beat any individual ability from Hebo. Not a single thing that Sobek can do, barring a full-channeled ultimate, should beat out Hebo on Secure. Sickening Strike, Tail Whip, all beaten out by either Water Spout or Water Cannon. So just showing up and making the attempt, and Dazer saying, hey, you might beat me, but you have to do it. Prove to me that you can do it. Get some Pyromancer, a major play for the Tartarus Titans.
Streak Up, having to deal with a gank from Maskill one more time. Has the ult going up into the sky. We saw how much damage this last time. 2 shots connect, and it's good. Ice Ice has to finish this one off.
Wow.
But no, Toddy's just hitting too hard, turns it around, and keeps things going. A gank, I guess, gone right for the Titans, gone wrong for the Tanuki. Immel needs to play a little careful here. It's 17-12 in terms of levels between him and Toddy. Good pluck from Dazer keeps him engaged. The Ishtar hitting hard, forcing the Fafnir to fall back. And Streak Up, look, no beads for another 10 seconds. I mean, that was just a really well-timed play on Maskill's part.
It was. The rotation over to the left. Maybe Ice Ice gets a bit out of position there. Now with hindsight, I'm willing to say he missed the crushing wave on Pyromancer. That was not a pretty kill secure attempt there from the Hebo. Water Spout just off the mark. No auto attacks to secure it. But does leave Yomi Tanuki in a very similar position as they were just previously. Game dead even at the 18-minute mark. Experience dead even as well. Nothing separating these two teams except for play on field gore. We could roll into a 5-on-5 team fight, and I couldn't tell you. which side would feel more confident? I don't think they would either. So the likelihood of that 5-on-5, a bit low, I'd argue. Maybe you poke and prod and try and jockey for position around the Gold Fury. Look for your pick first. And then look at the actual neutral objective. This is interesting, though. Soul laners have both rotated out. Both junglers replaced their soul laners on the right side of the map, farming up, funneling gold into those hyper carries. But generally when soul laners rotate, that means you are legitimately making an attempt at the Fury. Maskill seems to be making an attempt for Ice, charging up that ultimate through the tier 1 tower on right, but Ice has made his way back to base, which should leave time for Maskill to put some pressure on right. Double-edged sword, though. The second he walks in this tower, and he does so, reveals himself to Yomi Tanuki, who now know it's a 5 versus 4 on the left. Should Ice make the decision to join his team, but instead heads to the tier 2 defense.
I think the team maybe playing too cautiously here. Emil gets plucked. Dazer trying to pave the way forward. I'm with you, though. Full 5-on-5, who knows what it's going to look like? I guess 4-on-4 in this instance. Who knows what it's going to look like? Pluck once again onto Emil. Dazer's the one who's taken too much to hit this time. Falls back. Lurking the Waters has been used. Deathwalker's Boulder has been dropped. Transformation from Emil. Primal Fury, half health. The Tanuki gonna leash it just in time. Good stuns from Toddy, but the damage seems to be going the other direction. Snipes coming down from Streak Up, and they're connecting, but they're not getting the damage. Emil gets burned while his team can't deal the damage. This is low. So is Toddy, forced to fall back. Dazer still hanging around despite the health bar, but the damage check isn't going to pass for the Tanuki this time around. They lose Emil, and they leave the objective standing.
Yeah, that fight went surprisingly well for the Tartarus Titans, especially considering how long they were able to hold on to Lestimic's ultimate. If a Cthulhu doesn't feel threatened enough or the need to transform into Descent into Madness for the first 15 seconds of a team fight, it's probably a team fight that has gone heavily in that Cthulhu's favor already. And that's the case this time around, even after the Descent into Madness. Tries to walk forward, but makes an easy target of himself with his double Hunter composition. Zeros and Streak Up make short work. Yomi Tanuki, though, playing at a numbers disadvantage, decide that they'll take the consolation prize proactively. Hi-rez are pulled, and should just be secured here, and Maskill very dangerously makes the decision to walk in a 4, loses his beads for it. And at the end of the day, it still is a gold free for Pyromancer trade. Yomi Tanuki take the lesser of the two, but it does bring a bit of parity to the pockets of these teams, both holding onto a runic bomb that's 1,000 true damage on structures on objectives. Could make it a bit more difficult to secure the Fire Giant in the future, or defending any of these towers, simplifying those engagements.
Maskill grabs Deathwalker. There's going to be a little bit of help, though. Ice! The crushing wave crushes Maskill and helps turn a hopeful gank into the Titans, or for the Titans, into a death for the jungler. Fire Giant's up, Mifflin 22 minutes in. Maybe an opportunity for him, but with crushing wave down, the boulder down. Wouldn't be surprised if the Tanuki pump the brakes a little bit. Play slow over the next few seconds. I also have to give it, you know, you had mentioned the water spout, the water cannons. We talked about the crushing wave, especially just now. Outside of Atlas of the Yellow River, most of Hibo's abilities are pretty straightforward.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Ice, unfortunately, for the first few minutes, maybe a little too off the mark with this. Finish the rod to Tahuti, though. I'm kind of curious, like, damage check in the builds right now. You know, the Spear of Gesso, the Doom Orb, the Rod for Ice versus, like, the Rage with 3 stacks, a Deathbringer, and now the Serrated Edge. Like, is Maskill gonna do enough in a 1v1 to take down the Hibo?
Sacrificial Shroud just finished for Hibo. It depends. Okay, it depends. There are situations where Mercury could get the better end of that 1v1.
If he hits, like, all crits all the time.
Yeah, he just needs to hit 2 crits in a row. And maybe start the fight with his ultimate. Hibo's probably just dead if he hasn't beats the Sonic Boom. But if Ice connects Water Spout and Maskill is in the air at any point, I don't think there's a world where Maskill could ever win the fight. That the line, the skill expression of the Mercury much higher. Certainly has opportunities to fight in, but the skill floor of a well-executed Hibo combo is incredibly low.
Yep.
And it's binary. Did Water Spout connect? If yes, and on Squishy, crushing a wave. If not on Squishy, Atlas of the Yellow River the other way, drop a water cannon and walk away, right? Like, it's very simple. So, can Mass kill Hebo? Absolutely. Is it likely to happen? No. And is it something he's probably looking for? Probably not.
Playing it safe. Showed up in lane over on right. Wards right now on right are the discussion for the Tanuki. Wow, even going for the FG pull. You have to imagine with only 3 people here, they're trying to pull someone in. Lestimix Toddy going to spot it out. So a retreat from the Tanuki. Take a little bit of poke from the fire ring. Like you said, with just the 3 of them, would take a little while. And Titans aren't going to step up, try to force a fight. Tanuki get to fall back for free.
Yeah, Fire Giant pools, I think, really do have to come after picks for this Yomi Tanuki team. No crit means your burn on objectives is really low, which means that it would give a lot of time for the Tartarus Titans to rotate through, defend. The steal potential of a Thoth pretty high. So I think correct from Yomi Tanuki to go ahead and show respect once the Tartarus Titans show face around the Fire Giant. Pick potential, though, is very good for Yomi Tanuki. The displacement from Deathwalker, he could do it to just about anyone, even Dazer. Susceptible to an early pick. Pull him back, double Hunter composition, chain CC from the Hebo. It's all there. All could line up for an easy grab on this Sobek.
Dazer's low. Lurking in the waters. Forced on the retreat. Boulder was dropped by Deathwalker to get some extra damage out there. Pyromancer's been pulled. The team seems to be torn right now about whether or not they want to do Pyro or Fire. They're going to drop the Pyromancer finally. Emil jumps in. Goes for a small hammer. Damage right now. They need a little extra. Thoth! Final Judgment used early in the fight. Fire Giant getting low. Tanuki secure it thanks to Ice. It's just about getting out now. Deathwalker with some wild jukes. Keeps him going a little bit longer than he should have. But it does finally tick for him. The clock goes 12 and he falls down. Fire Giant on 4. They get to retreat. Nevlin, they're going to lose the Pyromancer, but it feels like a small drop in the hat in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, losing Deathwalker does make it a bit more difficult to actually leverage your Fire Giant, but there is just so much low-value structures on the map. There's so many, rather, excuse me, that Yomi Tanuki unlikely to push into a Phoenix even in an ideal situation there, barring maybe 2 kills on the Tartarus Titans. So grab all 4 remaining towers, back up to the Primal Fury, reset for the Pyromancer, and all of a sudden Yomi Tanuki have a massive advantage going into the rest of the game. Tartarus Titans, though, showing presence around the Primal Fury. Not so far behind that they feel like they need to respect this Fire Giant, I suppose. With Deathwalker just now on the respawn, there will be a retreat call from the Tartarus Titans. All the Titans need to do is slow down these sieges. If you can buy 30 seconds on a tier 1, that's 30 less seconds you have to defend a tier 2. And if they slow down there, all of a sudden there's no threat on the next tier 2. Any tower that is maintained through this Fire Giant siege, I think a massive win for the Tartarus Titans. They seem to agree as well. Significant grouping on the left-hand side with a 1v1 in mid between the junglers. That 1v1 does favor Ice, make no mistake. So Maskill will have to show a good deal of respect here. I'd like to see Maskill do exactly what he's doing. Back up to base so he can threaten that ultimate down lane. This will keep Ice hovering the jungle. If he shows himself in mid, Ice that is. That's the go button for Maskill. All right, 5v4. Let's make it happen. Ice now does show himself in mid. Maskill, watch him, starting to posture a little bit more aggressively on left.
Talk about a huge visibility zone, though. Overlapping grass from Marty. Well, Lestimix jumps in. You called it. Ice jumps himself in mid, and that's the go button here for the Titans. Aggression is what they get. Maskill, he's deep, but he's not able to find too much off the back. Immel's low, but no one's found the kill streak up. Has to go up into the air, barely makes it there in time, and it's a double kill right now for Ice. Snipes are good for a while, and it's enough to keep streak up alive. The kills are ringing true for the Tanuki. Duo lane goes down, but they find 4 in the process. Only 2 left with FG and Mifflin. They're going to push as far forward as they can.
The Tartarus Titans had done all the hard work, Gore. They had won the team fight as far as I'm concerned. With that phenomenal ultimate from Mass Kill, the displacement, allowing Zany to get aggressive in lane. But they spend so much time staring at Yomi Tanuki with the sandwich set up that it gave time for hi-rez to rotate through. What was a 5v4 became a 5v5 before anything happens.
I didn't know if they were going to go for the end. They're in the Titan room trying to deal some damage.
10 seconds.
Walker's getting too low, though. He can't take it up. They need minions. They don't have any in time, like you said. Lestimix is back. Toddy's back. Maskill's back. So the Tanuki have to back. Get on out of there. 2 tier 2's towers still standing as well, so the Titan's health pretty high. Fire Giant back in about 30 seconds. I was wondering if Deathwalker was going to get stalled there. Dazer going for a huge chase, deep chase on Emil and Ice. Does not seem like it's going to result in too much. Maybe just a zone, maybe just to gather information. But a big, big Phoenix opening play, base breaking play from the Tanuki. Gets some fire minions in there. They're going to go for a fight in the jungle as well. That kill just deleted. Lestimix, the burn is there, but a Cthulhu, he's so tanky. It's so difficult. Deathwalker trying to lead it. The frontliners for the Titans don't seem to be taking too much damage, but it is not stopping the Tanuki. Still getting aggressive, forcing ults, forcing a retreat before turning their eyes back towards the Fire Giant.
Yeah, that is a crazy special delivery from Mass Kill there. Just over aggressive. Maybe I'd expected a couple more Yomi Tanuki members to be in base, but gotta think Dazer had communicated, hey, there's 3 in mid, they're chasing me, I'm rejoining the team. Mass Kill, I guess, just doesn't get the memo. And once his dash was down, I mean, that's just his life. Every single time, easy for Yomi Tanuki to barrel over him. So what could have been a Fire Giant dance that goes a few minutes where Yomi Tanuki are forced to leverage that enhanced minion wave on left to find natural map state pressure. Becomes a very simple Mass Kill, dashed bad, kill him, and get the Fire Giant and the tier 2 on a 15-second span. The base is already broken on the left. Yomi Tanuki have already spent up the majority of their gold. Grab another tier 2. So that's 2 towers worth of gold in pocket. They'd like to grab a Phoenix before they head back.
Trying to get aggressive here. Maybe not trying. They are aggressive. Deathwalker takes about half of his HP bar under the Phoenix.
He's got TP.
Yeah, it's going to be able to back and TP back in. Always fun, I think, when you can play a little looser like that, right? Get aggressive, force something to happen, see if you can get something going. Might still be looking for it. The Hercules has been great, misses the pull because of the pluck from Dazer. And instead, it's going to be aggression on the right. They get the Phoenix, no problem. Lestimix only takes about 1/3 of his HP bar. Now transformation from Emil. Fire Giant on 5. They're going to start stepping towards the mid Phoenix. Coerce could be there. It's getting shredded. Good ult from Mass Kill. Separates things, but it's not enough to get the damage out there. The follow-up just isn't speedy enough. So the damage, while it spreads around the Tanuki, doesn't take any of them out. 5 fall back. 5 they get to then heal using this Fire Giant buff. Enhanced at that, Mifflin. They're going to step right back into the Phoenix. It's already half health. Couple hits, that's all it takes. Emil goes down, but it's a small price to pay for the 3rd bird. The Tanuki slowly choking him out, trying to retreat now. And it looks like for most of them it's going to be successful. Deathwalker might have a little bit of a nuisance following him, but they've got fire minions on left pushing forward. And then a fresh timer on mid, keeping the advantage all in favor of the Tanuki.
And Tartarus Titans just can't seem to get on the same page on when they want to fight, Gore. It's a 3-man ultimate from Mass Kill on 3 members of Yomi Tanuki that are stuck in the Phoenix line. I'm thinking to myself, all right, transformation from Lestimix, 3-man knock-up, make it happen. You know, roll forward. Zany's going to start lining up his own ultimate. Didn't happen. Lestimix drops his ultimate a little bit later. I didn't see exactly where Zany's ultimate had gone, even if it were used at all. Back off cooldown now at least. And the Tartarus Titans, they just have to kill one and let it go. Catch and release. Emilito, I think, happy to lose his life there, considering the Titans down to a 1/4 HP and fast, dropping even further. And the Phoenix is already broken. Emilito, certainly very pleased with what his life was able to gather for his team. And now the Tartarus Titans, who have done a poor job defending their base through PvE, that's all minion damage on the Titan, likely do have to concern themselves with backdoor attempts now. Yomi Tanuki, just given the slightest opportunity, could walk in, and the ability damage of a couple of ultimates, maybe just have Death from Above and Crushing Wave, might just be it. That might just be the Titan right there.
Fire Giant's going to be back in 30 seconds, but it's a left side focus here for the Tanuki 4. Standing strong. And Mifflin, I thought the Titans were going to go for some sort of Hail Mary play, try to find a gank in lane, but no, instead it's burn. Burn, burn for the Tanuki. And oh my god, the burn is all on Dazer. They're going to find what they need. One frontliner gone, the Stimix TKO'd, and it might just be the full KO snipes. Are ringing true, almost finds Zany. Streak up with a final shot, locks him down. Maskill tries to get something done. There's only so much you can do when you're this far behind, and the Tanuki march into the Titan room, win game number 1.
Just a couple of stumbles here or there, I think, from the Tartarus Titans. Around the Fire Giant, those weren't looking so good. Around the Gold Fury dances, those weren't looking so good either. But primarily, it was a failure to do what we've seen in the SPL a fair bit, which is just turtling and turtling really well. Feels like games could be dragged out if you're willing to let these Phoenixes go down, willing to let these Tier 2s go down. But it was twice, I believe, this game in the Siege, where the Tartarus Titans say, you want my Tier 2 tower? You're going to have to kill me. And Yomi Tanuki were like, okay, well, we're going to get the Phoenix after because you're dead.
It was a really weird instance, especially, typically we're used to seeing at least that second Fire Giant fight. Left side Phoenix is down. Somebody's got to be over there. Not a soul over there. You had mentioned it. A majority of the Titan damage was done by the Fire minions there. And so maybe some work cut out for the Titans if they want to try and drag this set to the long run. But right now, the Tanuki feeling happy. They take game number 1. And, of course, we'll break that one down and get into game number 2, all right after this quick break.
Is off, why did I choose you? I'm just too lost, I need to cut loose. I keep it in my head, I keep it locked away. My friends think that this is over. Guess it's the price I pay. Play with the enemy. Now I got you on my shoulders. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love again. Let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love again. Wanna let go, I wanna lose you. Fall out of love as you're supposed to. This was a phase that I was a mistake, but I can't move on with something in these days. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love again. Let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me love again. Let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me love again. Let go and let me love, let me let go and let me love, let me love again. Let me love again.
I promised I would wait for you.
but I'm getting so impatient. Tell me that you're ready now. This room is big enough for two, and I wanna do that something, something that will blow your mind. Do you know the things you do to me? Touch me and I'll make you understand. Yeah. Do you know the things you make me feel? I can show you if you take my hand. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Let me take you under where nobody can see. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Harder than the summer, so put your hands on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me.
Well, it's a 1-0 lead here right now, Mifflin, for the Tanuki. And I'm going to, harness myself to the seat for what I'm about to say, because the last time I started talking about anything related to this, you knocked me out of the chair. So
Oh, no.
I will say the mythical market is back in SMITE right now. So you want to make sure that you pop into SMITE and see what exclusive deals the market has generated just for you. So make sure that you're hopping into the game. Keep us on the side monitor. If you don't have two monitors, just keep us in the background. And I've made it now through safely. Still in my chair. Haven't fallen on the ground. We did 3 or 4 of those that day, and the first 3, I'm gonna lift the veil a little bit. I was hovering on the side of the seat so that when you pushed me, I could control my fall. Mm-hmm. Then the last one, which is I think the take that ended up actually getting used, I did actually land poorly on my knee. And
Oh,
I was
no.
It wasn't so bad that it genuinely, but it was it stung for a little bit, and I was like, damn. I did 3 of these perfect, and of course the last one is the one Jordan has footage of me literally leaning on my back, kind of holding my knee, oof. That
The classic Peter Griffin.
Exactly. And I think he thought I was doing that as a bit, but it did just legitimately hurt. I also keep wearing it for some reason. It's always in my gray pants. I have 3 or 4 falls in those now that I'm dude, I'm gonna rip these.
Get rid of them.
Yeah, I need to be careful. I think I sprained my ankle in them at one point, or re-sprained my ankle in them at one point. I'm so accident prone. Anyway, we can talk about this one. Accident prone. Let's talk about the Titans. The accidents, maybe the playmaking decisions, right? A lot of engage, but it never seemed to be on the same page, right? The Titans would have Maskill go in, or they'd have Listimics go in. Or somebody would start a fight. Nobody would finish it, or if they did, it was the Tanuki who were shutting them down. It just feels like there were a lot of instances, Mifflin, where early on the Titans were making some really good calls in terms of engage and fighting, and then we slowly saw that slip through as the team fight coalesced.
Yeah, I think the calls were there. The execution was not in a lot of these instances. The decision-making of having Maskill on that last base defense, hover on the left-hand side that we had just seen, and catch out the 5v4 while Ice Ice was pushing mid. I mean, that is just perfect. Just was not played very well on field, right? Mm-hmm. I think there probably was a pretty significant conversation around draft diff and whether or not one team came out ahead of the other. I'd say straight up just yes. Yomi Tanuki had a significantly better composition than the Tartarus Titans. And if this were in the SPL, I would have said GG right there.
Yep.
Right? If this were P's and B's in any SPL match this week, I would say, wow, X team just threw the game before it even started, right? But in the SEC, I'm willing to have a little bit more leniency at that because it's more so about play on field. Whereas in the SPL, you can kind of expect these high-seeded teams to play their composition perfectly and not give over those weaknesses. I would argue Yomi Tanuki certainly had a couple of slip-ups in their own game where it's, maybe we overextended here or there. Maybe Ice messes up a couple confirmations on objective, and there's more nuance to the play on field conversation as opposed to the projected drafts. So, yes, Yomi Tanuki had a much better composition. I would argue that really it was maybe miscommunication in the team fight or a couple of flubbed objectives that really cost the Tartar Titans more so than P's and B's did.
We can find out if maybe they can at least right the wrong in picks and bans right here, right? The calls in game That's going to take a little bit before we can really make the verdict on that one. Hebo, though, immediate adjustment from them. They decide whether if not they're going to pick it. And I guess, Maskill maybe doesn't want to throw that one out there. They don't want Ice to have it back. So the Tanuki are going to have to change that. Thor, I believe, what is that? Aphrodite as well. Marty over on the Titan side of things. Looking at some of the problem children from last game, you got 2 of them gone immediately from the Titans. Hell joins that top 3. Like I said, the Thor, the Aphrodite, now the Nox Mifflin. That is going to get banned out here. I'm still a big fan of the Hercules. I've been looking at him. I think Vamana lately has been like one of the most, if not the most, picked and banned after a couple of games without Horus in the SPL. So it feels like these 2 warriors, at least in my mind, I guess 3, we'll throw Horus in there as well, have been just the dominant factors so far at the highest level of play. Hercules and potentially the Rom looking like they're going to be the options here with the Tanuki, going back to some success points from last game.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hercules. I think Hercules is probably one of the top 3 gods in Smite right now. Just so valuable, nearly impossible to kill, good damage output, great laning phase, late game team fight, also phenomenal. And the displacement and disruption factor, of course, great. So no complaints with the Hercules. Did it need to be a Rom? Probably not. Is Rom poor? No, not at all. That god has great stems, does scale well, has that global presence, and seems to always be, if not a top pick, that right next to top pick, right? If there's a top 2 hunters, he's always number 3 if he's not already number 1. So I'm not going to complain about the Rom. I would complain about the Yanis, given the opportunity.
You can, actually.
And I can. I won't, though. We'll see the rest of the draft as it starts to roll out. Let's talk about Vamana, though, for a moment. Because Vamana, I think, is so comparable to Bakasura in playstyle when you take him to the jungle. Recently, Bakasura has been going down the crit build. You see the Golden Blade, a fast farmer, generally really reliant on that ultimate to start playing around these ganks. Vamana, I mean, Bakasura, you could say everything I just said applies to both of them. Yeah. The difference is ease of play. Bakasura Ultimate, blanket statement, just worse. It is just worse than Vamana Ultimate. It has less CC immunity. Bakasura for the first couple of seconds of his ultimate, whereas Vamana has it for the full entire duration of Colossal Fury. Has less utility. Both get the AoE auto attack, so moot point there. But Vamana also gets an HP shield on top of everything that is constantly regenerating in that ultimate, which allows him to play a little bit more aggressively. Just makes it way easier to be a Vamana. And Bakasura is already a top pick right now as well. I mean, and if you caught the SPL jungler tier list, just about everybody agreed that he was an S tier, and Vamana right there next to him. So I think a lot of onus now on the Tartarus Titans jungler, assuming that it's Vamana. And I don't think it's a fair assumption anymore because I haven't looked up since I started this soapbox speech. It's Surcat jungle. That's probably Vamana solo.
Which I guess, we can, when we do jump into the game, maybe there's some time to explore the solo lane matchup. But because we're on jungle and we see the Surcat, I've got to ask you because it looks like it's a jungle Poseidon on the other side, which we have seen a few times. We'll see in Game 2 if it's going to hit the way that we've seen it. The thing is in my brain, Mifflin, I see Poseidon jungle, and I want to sigh because I feel like that has not been wildly successful over the years. But I also feel like the last few games of Poseidon jungle we've seen have been to the point where the Poseidon is the reason the team is winning. And the Krakens are on point, things like that. And so despite the fact that my brain, I think, historically wants to be upset about it, recency bias is making me feel pretty amped for what Ice has to offer us.
You want to know why? You want to know why Poseidon jungle has started to suddenly look much better than it did in Season 9?
Is it because the last time I watched it was Leon?
Might be that. Not exactly, because that was also Season 10. What I'm trying to say is, in Season 9, we saw a good deal of Poseidon jungle, and nobody liked seeing it. Felt like it was always awful. Scream was one of the pioneers of this pick. It's because mages were just worse back then. Just straight up. Now Doom Orb, Spear of Desolation exists, and Poseidon jungle is just really good because of it, right? So it's not so much that Poseidon himself has seen changes, so much so that it's been the entire mage tab has just been blanket increased damage output and faster game pace across the board, which tends to lend itself to that hyper-aggressive, hyper-mobile Poseidon jungle playstyle that we should see here in Game 2 of this set. As for the initial question, how does Maskill fare into Ice on this Poseidon? Everyone on the planet's going to say, well, yeah, Surcat 50% of her kit's going to get locked down by Tidal Surge or Whirlpool, and you won't be able to use it because of the cripple. Yeah, I just don't love how Poseidon's Whirlpool works in that matchup. Mass Kill is just going to play Avoidant until you use it. For the most part, he's only going to use it trying to catch like maybe 1 or 2 ticks of Whirlpool to set up for Kraken. And then it starts to look a little bit better. But as for the actual direct cripple, it's not like some of the other ones in the game where it's easy to apply and sticks to you. Because of it being a persistent effect on field, it's very avoidable for Mass Kill.
Yeah, that's going to be maybe problematic overall. Still, maybe I'm just a Poseidon fanboy. Maybe I just like seeing Poseidon find success. Maybe it's because we've seen so much Poseidon not find success that I just like inherently want him to do well.
It's like a really cool pick.
Man, but he just does not do well competitively so often. Unfortunate for him. There's definitely room for some dual lane talk. You know what? We're over here, so we might as well Dazer from Sobek to Kabrakan. Definitely a little shimmy shake up in terms of style of aggression, but Mifflin, it doesn't seem to slow down the aggression, right? It feels like Dazer should still be getting in their face. Just maybe not as much as Immel will on the Maui.
Yeah, I think Kabrakan probably just better than Sobek in support. You're a little bit tankier, thanks to that defense aura all the time. Your initiation isn't nearly as punishing on you. I walked up and I caged him, and then I walked away, right? And my team dropped damage, or I threw my stuns out, and then I walked away. Whereas with Sobek, it's like, I plucked them, they beads, and I died. You know, like that's just how it goes. So often, it happened 2 or 3 times in the previous game. It's something iRaffer had spoke ad nauseum about when he was playing that Sobek consistently. He's like, yeah, when they don't have beads, I feel like I'm a great character. When they do have beads, just feels like I can't do anything, right? And I tend to agree. So when one relic can just completely shut down how you want to play the game, feels like a character tends to struggle.
Yeah, you need at least 2 relics to stop a Kabrakan.
Yeah, at least 2. You need the Phantom Shell and the beads.
Although maybe damage is enough. Kraken! Hey, there's one for the boards. Kill up for Ice. And even though it's only on the days of that's first blood for the jungle, Mifflin, you got to be feeling good about it.
Yeah, that is a good start. Anything that speeds up that Doom Orb, very, very good. It's one of the more expensive mage items in the game right now, probably because of how statted it is. But that first blood really does expedite the process, and it's simple. Just hit the edge of the Kraken and the damage just enough. Dazer, I think, now concerned, because Kabrakan, although safer than Sobek, well, that's not true. That's disingenuous. Although more effective while being aggressive and safer in aggression than Sobek, still susceptible to feast or famine style of game, right? Where eventually if you fall to a point where you just can't do this, blink in, get aggressive, just feels like there's no way back in.
Definitely opportunities to struggle. Taunt good from the Cirquette. Poison should be there in the air. Damage is ticking down, but it's not going to be enough to kill. Streak up. Well timed. Had to use the beads as well, though. So definitely a danger zone over the next few minutes for Streak Up. Stays alive, Mifflin. Sometimes that's all you can ask when, especially you get double taunted the way that Maskill started that fight.
Yeah, that is the ideal Cirquette combo there. So Yomi Tanuki likely very happy that they had at least made it out alive. But it is not without cost. Beads from both Ice and Streak Up means that there are opportunities now for the Tartarus Titans to look elsewhere on the map. Lestemics up into the Colossal Fury. And there's the safety of Amada. He'll turn any fight around. So simple. Walk forward, HP shield. Just makes it impossible to deal with him in the early game. Probably want to get eyes on a Sunder, maybe an Ankh a little bit later to deal with some of that shielding.
Yeah, we've definitely been seeing some of that. Gross. Takes a little bit of damage in retaliation. Now it's going to be a transformation into the Cirquette. Double Cirquette is here. Oh, and Xeros has to run away. The Giannis, normally so good at it. Tick damage not there. He walks through the wall. He's out of there. And instead, it's the landfall from Immel keeping this fight engaged. Doesn't look like they have the damage, but there's the hook onto Dazer. Stun, gonna connect, Whirlpool's there. It's a slow burn from hi-rez, but it's finally there, and they might be able to get a little bit more. They take the second kill. Masskill jumps back into it. Now it's a 3-0 lead. Tanuki with a great couple of kills.
I mean, this is a massive lead in the early game. No reason Masskill should be coming back to peel out there. I mean, there's no way you're getting Dazer out alive. Maui passive pulls him back into the Whirlpool. I mean, just perfect. Masskill, a completely avoidable death. But now Yomi Tanuki have got their hands on the wheel. They're in the driver's seat, and they've got a composition that is very, very good at doing objectives with a lead, especially this early in the game. This is ideal scenario for Yomi Tanuki. Group up, go to the Gold Fury, leverage what is essentially a double hunter composition with hi-rez out of the jungle and this Poseidon. Trident's doing upwards of 150 damage per auto attack right now, which should match or even surpass what Streak Up is doing on this hunter. You've got potentially best secure on map, so long as Zany isn't also transforming into the Poseidon. So Kraken, just about the best you could do. And you've got great space control from Emilito. I'd love to see Yomi Tanuki leverage this aggression and leverage it soon. You want to desync these objectives. Drop the Gold Fury around that 9-minute mark, and then all of a sudden you can just go over to the Pyromancer once it spawns, make that happen, and then keep cycling between the two, especially up against the Tartarus Titans, who are a team that love to trade out objectives. I mean, given the opportunity, even from ahead, they'll go to the Pyromancer and let you get the Gold Fury, right? That's just the style of team that this is. So if you could prevent that by desyncing them, this could be so massive.
Moments like what we saw out of Dazer a second ago. As a support, I feel like your comms half the time there. Let me die, let me die, let me die, let me die. Like, just leave me. Like, you gotta stop. Like you said, maybe unfortunately go back in right now. Maybe leading the way. Stimix, though, pulled by Emilito. Gotta give him credit. Look, I asked you the question about between him and Streak Up over in the duo lane, what kind of difference that would make. Right now, Toddy may be getting the better end of those trades. But I've got to give credit where credit's due. Outside of that landfall, everything has been hitting real hard for Emil. Now he's playing Guardian Protector of the blue buff dropped on the map. Forces at least a small back. And since the ult is no longer up, that's going to be a back off. hi-rez maybe has to play a little careful here in the jungle. Objective play, as you had highlighted, that's where my mind's going to be at. Actually, at this point, we had seen a couple attempts for a Fury in game number 1 by the time we hit 9 minutes. Now we're actually at 9 minutes, and neither team has really fainted that direction. Maybe. I'm just speaking too soon. They have the hook, they have the pull, there's the slow, there's the pull, right into the water, there's the Kraken damage. Isn't that great, though? They still have enough to get through, but they dropped 2 ultimates in the process. Emil playing a little carefully. Giannis help leading him forward. Stun's going to be there, and it's just after the transformation. Forces Zany to go into the Circuit.
It's got to be a gold call.
Back. You would think.
I'm going to lose my mind, Gore.
They're not going for it.
It's a free kill on Dazer. You know for a fact you just TKO'd Zany. Masskill doesn't have ultimate either. And you saw them both retreating to the right-hand side. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Pull
a little
the gold
longer
Fury.
than you would like. But
Yeah.
They heard you, and they want to make sure that they're playing it well. Toddy over the wall, spots it. Not much an ADC can do here. Tanuki take their lead, lean into it, get themselves the Fury 4-0 kill lead, and now a 3,300 gold lead to boot 10 minutes in. Mifflin, that is a solid lead.
And you've desynced the objectives exactly as I had asked for. So now Pyromancer should be under the eye of Yomi Tanuki, and it should happen quickly. I'd like to see them literally reset the base, spend their gold, and just rotate through the Pyromancer. Don't give over any opportunity to the Tartarus Titans to find their comeback on map. Pyromancer up. Kraken should be coming up very shortly. You've got significant power spikes here or there. Doom Orb on both Zeros and hi-rez, so high mobility between your mages. The only struggle I could see for the Yomi Tanuki around the Pyromancer is that Lestemix gets involved. And Lestemix is at a very strong point for Vamana, that 2-item power spike. Ridiculous. But he's not out securing a Kraken.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to, I mean, well, think about this. Zany turns into a Poseidon, gets a Kraken. Maybe you start out securing things. Right now it's not that time, though. A little bit of a fight. Portals drop. That's going to be a disengage. Maskill still taking nice knockback. So Pyromancer for the Tanuki and a good retreat. In fact, they go for the landfall as well.
Ooh, good pull.
At least force Maskill to play a little awkwardly.
Where was Ice on that?
Not following up, if that's the answer that you're looking for. I'm surprised. Titans still hanging out as aggressively as they are. Maskill is in the speed buff of the Tanuki, but nothing really to pick up. So Mifflin, that lead extends a little further, about 4,000, just a little shy for the Tanuki. And it's going to take a lot for the Titans to get back into this, especially if your carry
take his tower now.
is just getting melted like that. Goes over, does not get the push from Deathwalker. And so the Chernobog should walk away, but like you said, that should be the tower. Maybe a strip away from the jungle as well. Ice looking for something over there. Meanwhile, Streak Up does nothing less than what you ask for, Mifflin. You're making the calls, they're listening.
Yeah, this has been clean play so far from Yomi Tanuki. They've done everything perfectly throughout the early game. They've pushed their lead now to a point where the Tartarus Titans are really going to have to struggle on comeback mechanics. I mean, there's not a whole lot they could do, barring just walk through Krakens to slow down the roll of Yomi Tanuki. And now, have they done too much? Emilito caught out. Maskill sent to the back line. Snipes just off the mark. Third shot wouldn't even kill. Doesn't connect either. So Maskill able to survive this time. Does expend his blink, though. Unless Emilito could do a bit more here. And this is what the lead affords you. When you've got a lead as massive as Yomi Tanuki have, I would argue of 5 micro plays, they likely misplay 3 in that team fight, and it costs them nothing because they're so far ahead. Just nurse this lead until there's another POI on map. You can either group up, knock down one of these tier 1 towers through mid. I wouldn't say grouping around soul lanes exactly ideal at this point in the game. You can either knock down the tier 1 in mid, or you can just wait, potentially look for invades. But the one thing you have to do now, if you're Yomi Tanuki, is be on time for this Oni Fury. You need to be on time while simultaneously keeping some level of vision around the Fire Giant, just to prevent a Hail Mary 15-minute fire, right? But
yeah,
I think low bar for a team that has been playing the game at a high level for as long as Yomi Tanuki has individually. So group up, jump on the Fury, and just heat check the Titans. The Titans have ways back in. I think a transformation from Zany into a Rom to steal away the objective is pretty threatening, or even into a Poseidon and looking for a rope around, loop around on the team fight could be pretty big. But those are hard asks for the Tartarus Titans, considering the deficit they're playing into.
Maskill stunned out. Hook gonna pull in. Landfall a little too late there, but does create some separation. You would want them to stay on top of the timer. On top of the timer they will be. Unless they just don't start the Fury, which I guess egg on my face. Thought they were going straight for it, instead walking right by. Mifflin, they have the secure, they have the burn. A little surprised to see him not go for it after a small TKO. Instead, they're going to get aggressive onto Dazer. Do have to give a little bit of a call out. Ice. The last Kraken we saw didn't hit as hard or at all.
I don't think he's hit center Kraken just yet this game.
The cynic in me is a little worried about that trend as we get towards the later portions of the game. But right now, I don't think there's much reason to do so. Tanuki get the Fury. Whether they get another kill, it's whether really up to the aggression. Immel has not held back on this Maui. Honestly, if anything, all Immel has done this game is make me wonder why we're not seeing more Maui.
I mean, why Maui when Yamoja, you know?
Yeah.
Or why Maui when Hell? It seems like I could think of a couple reasons why Maui when Hell. But
I think we've got some games that we could maybe showcase.
I'm a Hell hater personally, so I tend to agree that Maui is a bit undervalued right now. We've seen it twice in the SPL, and I think both times Genetics after eating 7 more bans, so could just be that Maui is a bit undervalued. I want to see him go to the Pyromancer, though. Let's not get distracted. There's an objective on the map, and Yomi Tanuki are 6,000 gold up. That means that objective should not be on the map for much longer, and that 6,000 should turn into a 7. And very shortly after, should turn into a Fire Giant pool attempt. That is how massive a lead that they have acquired. And you want to do it sooner rather than later. Could be a turnaround potential here. Toddy getting aggressive with a peel from zeros. Just so clean.
Damage is there. Toddy lands.
Are you sure about
and lands
that?
on streak up, streak up. Oh, doesn't have the ult to do anything with. Can't close the gap fast enough. Toddy might just get away with this one. The TKO strong though. Pyro's still up. Surprised in general to see a fight on the left-hand side of the map. Period. They're going to turn that small TKO into pressure on the tier 1 in mid. Should be a pretty easy pick up for him. Nice pull. Nice beads. Nice kill onto Dazer. There's that Kraken we were looking for. Streak Up gets the credit. Ice with a lot of the burst. Surprisingly missing a lot of the secure, though, Mifflin. Tanuki. Start up the Pyro.
Just got to walk away now. Wait for this one to fall off. Listemics.
They got the Sunder.
Yeah, they got the Sunder. Deathwalker takes a little bit of damage. Just got to play safe and regroup. Listemics now TKO'd. Does not have the teleport available. Could just be an easy Pyro pool here, or even potentially a fallback to the fire. But with low targets, Deathwalker around a quarter HP, I tend to agree. Take the safer of the two options. So it's a tier 1 and a pick on the Dazer into a Pyromancer. And what should be a reset from Yomi Tanuki. Spend up some of that gold. Just can't send everybody back to base. You don't want Tartarus Titans sneaking away the objective.
A lot of people do back, though. Those that don't back are on left. Don't seem to be too worried about it. Toddy's over here as well, so we know, at least, from the top-down view. There's nothing to be stressed out about. Landfall still available for Emil. Last couple haven't necessarily hit the way that you would want, although it's created that big obstacle. And created maybe a balancing point for the Tanuki. Gotta give him credit, Mifflin. When you're up 3,000 gold at 10 minutes, sometimes we've seen teams that fumble that kind of lead, right? They get to the team fight phase, and it starts to disappear. Instead, they've kind of doubled down on the Tanuki to twice that, now up to 6,000 gold in the lead. Manifesting in the items, you can really start to feel some of the power spikes I think the Tanuki have over the Titans. And there's really only one objective that my mind is on 18.5 minutes in. It's that Fire Giant. Though with Primal coming up soon, I won't be surprised if these teams are going to maybe air to the left. Look for a pick if they can find it. Dazer might be that one. Like you said, good stun. Streak up. Takes a decent amount of damage to start this fight. Does have the Devourer's Gauntlets, though, so I have to imagine lifesteal and survivability. It's just going to be there. Kraken, used defensively. Ice, maybe just straight up caught out, trying to use that mobility, but none to get him away. It's a 2v1 over there, and it creates a good kill. Now Dazer, a little bit of trouble. Dunk down from Emil, gets the kill. And in the 4v5, they're going to try to do a lot, but no, the landfall, it's not going to get enough. And now you've got Zany, who's transformed into the Vamana and getting things done. Finds Streak Up and is creating a lot of trouble for them. 2 kills for the Titans, first 2 of the game, but they're important ones. And then they start up the Fire Giant as well on the right-hand side. They know they've got nothing to worry about, and they've got the carry over there. Zany has to die for this one. You have to kill this mid laner, but if you cannot get to him, oh man, what a beautiful play for the Titans. And the Tanuki, despite their lead, now finding themselves stumbling backwards.
Gore, that might just be the only insta-lose condition that existed in the game. Have Ice, your objective secure, not be on the objective side of the map, get picked on right, immediately into a Fire Giant, and the team fight goes south on the left side of the map in a 3v4 with a 6,000 gold lead. The Tartarus Titans reach into the ether and pull at a thread that nobody saw coming, and it is a massive swing. That is game-breaking for Yomi Tanuki. The gold lead is still there, but with Fire Giant on 5, that Gold Fury does not exist.
Well, they're going to step up. They're going to try to fight. Number advantage for the Tanuki. Fire Giant advantage for the Titans. And that's going to be enough to maybe equalize this one. 2-6 now for the kills. Well, it was 6,000, now 3,000 in terms of gold. Like you said, the lead is there, but man, chunked down. in the blink of an eye. They're going to go for a pull on the Lestinics. Vamana walks out of this one. In fact, not only does he walk out of this one, he turns around, he wants a little more. They're going for the fight. They're looking for extra toddy. Kills off Ice Ice. Streak up. Make sure it doesn't go unanswered, but it's Dazer, the support overall for the jungler. Not a trade you want to take, especially when the Circuit is just eating through health bars.
Maskill, did you see him?
Low. They're just going to leave him there.
What?
They're going to kill off Streak Up. They're going to kill off Immel. Zeros and Deathwalker get to walk out of that one alive.
What?
Leaving us a little perplexed, but honestly, does it even matter? The 1 kill for 3 trade plus the Fury. Like you said, the Titans, they reach into the ether and they push the Tanuki down. It looks like they're trying to take their lunch money now.
All I want to do is gas up the Tartarus Titans, but all I can see is Deathwalker at half of an auto attack's worth of HP.
Nah.
Nah, not this one. I want zeros. I worked really hard to kill zeros. Forget Deathwalker. A bit tunnel vision there from Maskill, the jungler of the Tartarus Titans. But regardless, it's a massive team fight win for the Order side. And a couple of structures to boot. Fury, tier 1, and left and mid. Potentially some more. Days are now on the retreat. Streak Up loses his beads. And the Tartarus Titans, there's your complete game reset. Golden experience, right back to even. What was 18 uncontested minutes from Yomi Tanuki, just absolutely dominating the map. One major unforced blunder cost them their entire 18 minutes of work.
Yeah, that's wild how quickly they came undone.
It was in a spectacular fashion, to be fair. Generally, I'd be like, yeah, one mistake shouldn't cost you your entire early game. That mistake was
a
continuous and egregious all the way across the map.
Like you said, Ice Ice got picked, and then immediately in the next fight, look, only 2 deaths on the jungler, but each time it has resulted in something big for the Titans, maybe looking for another here. Ice Ice a little deeper. Emil not able to get up into the swing. Forced to fall back. Now Lestinics just bullying people right now. There's a good grab from Maskill, forces the beats. Zeus is going to walk out of this one. Landfall gets a knockup, but only onto 1. Immel has to die here. The knockups are too good. The damage too good. The Kraken does nothing. And the Tanuki forced to fall back. 1 KO, 1 TKO, and the Fire Giant just on the horizon. The Titans get to continue this turnaround and push their way forward.
Yeah, and Lestinics, doesn't it just seem like he is unkillable in the team fight? Once he goes in that ultimate, it's clear. Yomi Tanuki don't think they've got the opportunity to shut him down. Streak Up turns on his heel, Ice Ice on his, and Zeros, even being one of the fastest gods in Smite, Yanis has the ability to walk through walls, and every single one of his abilities, it seems like, gives him additional movement speed. Can't outrun a double katana Vamana. All that additional movement speed makes it so simple for him. Now, space controlled by the Tartarus Titans and Fire Giant back on the map. Vision, neither here nor there. Speckled by both teams around the Fire Giant pit, but the pit itself controlled by the Order. Fire Giant going quick.
The burn is there. Kraken that gets dropped, but it's for secure. And of course, it's coming from Zany. The fight afterward, though, causing a little bit of trouble for the mid lane, and Morgan has to weave their way through here. Snipes one more shot, but it doesn't connect. Zany is walking away from this one. There's 3 people around him, and not a single one could stop him. Streak Up gets taken down in the back. Maskill finds the line that is needed, and they're jumping forward. That's 2 carries gone for the Tanuki. The backliners struggling right now. Zeros walking through walls to keep himself going. Front line
hits hard.
low. Toddy able to find the kill. Onto 1, looks for a kill. Onto another. Zeros forced to retreat. Stun good onto Immel from Dazer. Even if they don't get this kill, they have done so much against the Tanuki here. The Titans with 5 with Fire Giant again. Mifflin 25 minutes in.
Dazer still chasing.
And a 4,600 gold lead.
Yeah, the Tartarus Titans have completely flipped this game on its head. Now should be able to regroup, start knocking down some towers, start making some permanent damage on the map. Tier 2 in mid, taken away. But Dazer, have you done too much? Pulled back into the Phoenix. Stunned, locked down. Needs to dodge this ultimate, doesn't do so. Zero's able to secure the kill for his team. And now Toddy, have you thrown away the entirety of the Fire Giant power play? Just too much on the map. Two members, the duo lane decides that the Phoenix is exactly where they'd like to mark their grave. And that's exactly where it is. Yomi Tanuki give it over a free base defense.
You have to imagine Lestimix at that point is just going, okay, so our Fire Giant's just nothing for you guys, huh?
All right, see you the next one, boys.
Play it patient, drag it out, see what you can do. Open opportunity, though, for the Tanuki to try and make up for their past transgressions. Maybe find a small window, maybe a big window back into this game. Lestimix, though, has been causing a lot of trouble. Lestimix is still going to do so. Ult from the Vamana, taunt now from Mast Kill. It's not enough to be able to bring them in. Didn't go for the ult either. Saves the Phoenix, which is goal number 1 here. Fire Giant won't be back for another minute and a half. Still technically a power play for a few seconds on 3 members for the Titans. But like you said, Mifflin, they're probably pausing for a little bit. Last Fire Giant was at the 25-minute mark, so 29 minutes. That's the magic number for this one. Maybe a couple of towers, maybe some pressure in the jungle. But not as open as maybe the Titans would have hoped with the last play.
No, now the Tartarus Titans likely just have to try all over again to take the Fire Giant in what is essentially a neutral map state. Exact parity between these squads. A pull from Deathwalker connects, but the geometry of the map will not allow him to put Lestimix into the tier 2 tower. Wouldn't have accomplished a whole lot, though. Lestimix still has teleport, so even if he were TKO'd, would rejoin the fight immediately. And I think unlikely that he's TKO'd. This Vamana has been unkillable. 1-0-6, 7 out of 8 affected kills for Lestimix out of the Soul lane. I don't see anybody knocking him down anytime soon. So where do the Yomi Tanuki look if they want to shut down this team fight? Making sure that Zany has taken some damage pre-transformation, I think all important. Have Deathwalker hunt him down, have Zeros do the exact same. Or even jump on a Toddy in that back line. Tartarus Titans have really rallied around the player damage from their Hunter. 25,000, top of the charts, nearest on his team, nearly 10,000 off. Could be that you just remove this Chernobog and all of a sudden the team fight comes afterward. But that is very difficult to do. Of course, Chernobog, one of the safer hunters in the game, has an Aegis built in the kit, 2 of them essentially, as well as a Beads Aegis, literally purchased in his itemization. So until you burn through some of those resources, I think Toddy's probably feeling just fine.
Aggression from the Titans now into the Tanuki, doing a lot of damage. Streak up, force in the sky. Snipes coming down, but it does not matter. Immel is the main target. Immel shredded in front of their eyes. Also worth mentioning, the Tanuki trying to do the Pyromancer earlier, but taken away by the Titans. 2 runic bombs there. Haskill making a dangerous style of play, but manages to dodge out a lot of damage. Stay alive. Deathwalker now marching into the Titan. Not the Titan, the Fire Giant. Forces the Titans away.
Meanwhile,
Zeros just gets soloed by Lestimix. Has no problem finding that kill. Mast kill. Trying to stay alive. Damage is there. Pushback is good, but the CC is just better from the Titans. And now it's a collapse from the rest of the team. The Tanuki, they try to defend, and they're just not able to do so. Fire Giant's going to be the call first. Titans are picking that up. 30 seconds out. Zero's 40 plus without Deathwalker and Ice. Streak ups on the left side of the map. Immel running straight down the right side jungle. With FG gone, days are incredibly low. We'll see what the what the Titans can do with this Fire Giant.
Yeah, I thought the Titans would just go straight for the mid Phoenix. Runic Bomb in pocket, and Lestimix had ultimate and was relatively healthy. Instead, enhanced Fire Giant, fine. Will break the base on right, has given over time for Zero's respawn, and he's done so. Deathwalker 5 seconds away. Ice just 5 seconds behind him. So one more Phoenix, I think, needs to go down before they can regroup on defense. 50% on the bird, mass kill. has eyes for Zero, sends him back to base with the ultimate, and the mid Phoenix will eventually fall. Yomi Tanuki maintain their lives though, and potentially the chase afterward. Dazer pulled back, locked down by body blocks, but with only Streak Up and Ice nearby, and portals waiting in the wings. The Tartarus Titans will disengage and disengage easily. An enhanced Fire Giant and 2 Phoenixes, as well as the Oni Fury for their efforts. 31 minutes in, the game has simplified. There's only one lane that the Tartarus Titans can go to continue to push their lead, and it's down left. Tier 2 still stands, but only for a moment, and only until the Tartarus Titans are able to breathe on it. Will fall quickly afterward. So the left side Phoenix likely, where the Yomi Tanuki decide to dig in their heels. And base defense just hasn't been pretty, has it, Gore? I mean, the Krakens have not been connecting, and if they have been, it's on the edge. So mitigated damage and no stun means that this Poseidon has largely been ineffectual in these team fights. Giannis, of course, struggles in base defense because he isn't able to maneuver the map as he would like. So reliant on these jungle corridors and pathways and additional walls to keep his enemies guessing. Not exactly an option when you're in your own base and there's only about 1 or 2 walls that have any play in them. So the Tartarus Titans in an advantage state. And with Polynomicon on their mid laner, I mean, Siege happens quickly, and it will happen quickly. Especially with 600 damage and auto attack. It feels like Yomi Tanuki, it's going to come down to just one team fight.
This is where the defense for the Titans in game 1 struggled. We'll see if the Tanuki can maybe step up, fill shoes that were left pretty wide open otherwise. The damage, though, to dive from the Titans is so good immediately. Kraken, though, finds some good damage onto Dazer. It doesn't matter. Tani is just able to get into the back line. Mass kill gets a third after the double from his carry. And now marching towards the Titan room. No chasing kills. Yeah, there it is. The Titan room itself. And the Titans, Mifflin, they're going to tie this one up in 33.
Man, Yomi Tanuki have got to be kicking themselves for a game like that. I mean, it is just one major mistake. Ice on right, picked by Chernobog. Team fight on left in a 4v3, also a loss, into a Gold Fury in a tower that equalized 17, maybe 18 minutes of perfect play for the Tanuki. I mean, that is such an awful way to have a loss inflicted upon you.
Especially, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about, the defenses turtling, if you want to call it that, right? Holding down and extending the game until you can get to some of those late game team fights. They didn't even need that part. They were at 6,000 gold, like you said, 4v3. Definitely a lot to maybe talk about there for the Tanuki, but definitely a lot more to talk about here in just a little bit as we get ready for game number 3. So we're going to kick it to a quick break. When we get back, we'll close this one out.
Tell me you love me.
Well, it's a tie SMITE game here as we get into what will be the third game of this set. But Mifflin, we have to look at game 2. And much like you said, have to imagine that the Tanuki here are just kicking themselves real hard. I mean, we're talking 3,000 gold lead at 10 minutes. About 5 minutes later, that's expanded to 6,000. They go for an objective. For some reason, the guy who secures their objectives is on the other side of the planet. And they lose a 4v3 with that massive lead. I mean, if you're talking about fumbles, this one was dramatic.
And then a team fight afterward with a 4,000 lead. Also a team fight loss that is sustained pretty heavily. I mean, this game went from bad to worse immediately for Yomi Tanuki, but there are some, positives that you could lean on. It was 18 minutes of uncontested dubs for Yomi Tanuki, so as they move into game 3, could look to replicate that play style and style of composition and not say, well, we lost because of play on field, or our draft wasn't capable of doing X, Y, or Z, or this god counterpicked that god. It's, we messed up, and we can fix that going forward. The Tartarus Titans, on the other hand, I think maybe a little bit more work to be done here going into game 3. Relying on a massive fumble, I don't think is realistic, not up against Yomi Tanuki, so I'd like to see them rectify some of that early game. Maybe it's mobility, a bit of global presence to match that high-speed style of Yanis and Poseidon from Yomi Tanuki, or maybe it's someone that can get a little bit more involved in AoE CC and burn away some of those relics in the early game. That was really a major struggle for the Tartarus Titans, was who's burning relics, who's getting rid of the beads so that the stuns are actually connecting and the knockups are actually connecting. So I think work to be done here, but props to the Tartarus Titans for looking for those opportunities and even punishing Yomi Tanuki. There are teams out there that would have Ice Eyes just knock down a tier 1 and tier 2 and right, and they just spin their thumbs in the jungle and say, well, I wish we could have prevented that. Instead, they jump into a shadow and turn the entire game on its head.
Yeah, like you said, reached into the ether, reached into the void, and pulled something out of it, man. Absolutely insane to see the Titans turn around. We'll see if they can do, well, I guess in their idea, it's not ideally the same thing. They don't want to have to be down that far that quickly. And so I guess it's more the question of what kind of performance are they going to give us? Well, we'll find out. At least starting with picks and bans here for game number 3. Have to imagine Tanuki now first pick. They're either thinking really similarly to let's first pick that Vamana, show Les Dimix what for, and why that looked so good on Les Dimix the game before. Or they're thinking let's ban the Vamana or force the Titans to ban the Vamana. Control things down a little bit. The Aphrodite, the Thor have been there pretty consistently. Marty, Hebo join after game 2, after game 1. Those were some incredibly potent picks. Get the Nox one more time, so Vamana, Hercules, and a whole plethora of others are available, but the Vamana does get banned out. Horus has been up there, but it has been ignored mostly for this set. Kernanos as well has been in the conversation, but yeah, the Hercules. Deathwalker's played it 3 games in a row. He's looked real good on it 3 games in a row, and outside of, again, a catastrophic fumble, the Tanuki looked really great with it for 18 solid minutes.
So if I had to guess now where the Tartarus Titans go, I would say it's likely Serket Ishtar. Ishtar seems to still be that bread and butter, cream of the crop of ADCs over in the EU SEC in their perspective. If this set is anything to go off of, that Ishtar has been very heavily prioritized. It could be that Chernobog performance in Game 2 tends to shift the scale ever so slightly, and it seems to have done exactly that. The Tartarus Titans will take the global presence for themselves and the ability to turn any 2v2, any 3v3 into a numbers advantage. And now all of a sudden it's a 4v3 or a 3v2 just simply because Chernobog exists on map. You can take a fight anywhere, and Chernobog will be there. An answer that a lot of teams have come up with to deal with that is, well, Chernobog Ultimate can take them across the map, but if we fight on top of Chernobog, it's similar to the Athena conversation. Where are you going? Who's ult into you? Nobody. You're stuck on your own.
Well, you did a lot of conversation. We were talking a lot about Vamana Bakasura last time around. The Vamana was locked in, and you were talking about all of his strengths. But to showcase that, you talked about another pick that has been very dominant so far lately, and it was the Vamana, the Bakasura, who is locked in here. You get the Serket back, you get the Chernobog back, you get the Guan Yu back, but you're balancing it out with, at least in Europe, what I would argue is top of the tier list. You'd kind of touched on the Heimdall. The Bakasura, though, versus Serket. How are you feeling about the jungle matchup?
I mean, the direct jungle matchup, you do really like Bakasura in the 1v1. Serket, especially if she goes down the crit build, which is not what we had seen in the previous game. It was more so, hey, I apply my CC and I've got additional damage. I'm really good at dealing with tanks. It was a penetration, Heartseeker style build. But if it's going to be the crit build, and I would argue likely should be now with a Chronos Hovered and a Heimdall, very safe picks and ones that you want to blow up very quickly. Serket needs crit to do that before Rewind happens or before Heimdall gets through a Bifrost. If that's the case, you're hyper reliant on that first ability to actually secure your kills or win out in that 1v1. Bakasura's ultimate stops you from doing that. And in the latest portions of the game, that means in the 4v4 and the 1v1, usually it's a jungle split trying to knock down a tier 2 tower or Phoenix. Serket will never have the onus up against Bakasura. So even in base defense or in base siege, that is a major advantage over to Yomi Tanuki, knowing that the 1v1 between these junglers will favor the Bakasura. The answer to it, though, is in the early game, it's never really a 1v1. Not at all. So you can establish a lead before you get to that point and play it as a team. But if it's an even state, 40 minutes in, just watch this Bakasura do work.
I see a lot of gods that are known for mobility, though, and I see a Bakasura that if it gets ahead, maybe starts to put an end to that very quickly. I guess we'll find out how well and how far ahead he may or may not fall. Game 3, Tanuki Titans. And a lot of pressure on this one. Also, Zero's going back to the Chronos. I had made a noise for it. Something that he likes to play in mid. Streak up going over to the Heimdall, which is something that we're used to seeing in Europe very, very much. Common pick, strong pick over here. And so you get some of the comfort picks from the Titans that we just saw. And then some power picks along with comfort picks for the Tanuki. And I also want to ask, because normally, and maybe normally isn't the right way to approach it, sometimes we see game 3s slow down. Sometimes we see them speed up dramatically. What would you want to see if you're the Tanuki in this kind of position, especially after the last game? Do you want to see him play methodical? Do you want to see him play for just objective, just macro play? Or do you want to see him force some fights and get something rolling there?
I think objective play, probably the best answer for Yomi Tanuki. If you were looking at everyone but their mid laner, you could say, okay, yeah, let's get aggressive early on. We can make things happen. And then you realize it's Chronos, and you think to yourself, oh, well, I mean, that's going to be really cool in 35 minutes when he's 6 slotted. Until then, not exactly very cool. And I think this Chronos, I think, a very interesting talking point. We get the opportunity. Ice Ice hit by the portal, taunted back in. Now on the retreat. Bit of a stun there from Chronos. Will keep Zany at bay, and Masskill will give up on the chase. So Ice Ice barely survives this exchange. The Chronos is something I had talked to Zeros about actually at the last World Championship. I'd caught him in the break room between his games. It was maybe the day after that Hex Mambo was removed from the tournament. I said, Zeros, you've always been one of the more mechanically talented players out of mid. There's a lot of hyper-aggressive picks. I feel like, especially in the SCC level, I mean, you've said in the past that you see yourself as much better than a lot of these other mid laners that you play against. Why is it that you tend to go towards these late-game slanted, scaling style of picks? And he said, you know what he said to me? Doesn't matter, man. We lost. Why are you talking to me? And that was the end of the conversation. Oh. So I never got any answer. He said, oh, our team just doesn't play that way. And then he walked away. So why he goes towards the Chronos, I can only imagine it's because he likes it. And that's just about it. So late game, expect a lot from Zeros. Until then, expect a lot of farming from Zeros.
Yeah, I think 18 minutes might be the first time we get to see him really active. I mean, sometimes you can see maybe a good time rift that just slows everybody, stuns a few, maybe around an objective play. But then you look at what this team has. Auto attackers galore with an auto attack enhancer on their team. And Mifflin, I think the Tanuki want to play this the same way they played game 1. Wait a little while, let the carries get online, and then step up for the fight. Of course, for anyone who may be tuning in right now, about 20 minutes out, 19 minutes out for the SPL. And a lot of fun sets that are going to be happening that day. Right now, Emilito may be biting off more than he can chew. Has to jump over the wall for the disengage. But Mifflin, you're talking about a hell of a warm-up. for what is going to be a very interesting broadcast day in my eyes. I believe Ferryman Leviathans is going to be the thing to follow this one up. Tanuki. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still a little lost in last game. Just that one fight, how wrong things go. And so anytime I glance up, much like now, it's only about 400 gold. Maybe 500 on a good wave. But anytime I see the Tanuki with a lead, giving me a little bit of stress. Even if I don't think we're going to see too much from them. Nice Bifrost from Streak Up. Unknowingly, based on Horde coverage, avoids Mastkill's gank. And keeps things from maybe going south quick in the duo lane.
Yeah, I mean, the first 10, 15 minutes in the current meta, I just feel like don't amount to a whole lot. It's that first team fight that really starts to set the pace, or maybe even the fifth team fight afterward, considering how strong base defense seems to be in the current meta. So the unwillingness from these teams to risk things in the early, likely a byproduct of that. So sure, you can establish a bit of a lead here or there. Jungle tends to be one of the primary places that lead will be established. If your jungler is 3 or 4 levels up, it's just you can do whatever you want. Deathwalker locked down. The dot damage is there, but not quite enough. That was played nearly perfectly by the Tartarus Titans. We'll see if Ice can make something happen. And he cannot.
Wow. Drops the Regurgitate, though. I thought would maybe aim a little further than that. Leap had been used to close gap. Deathwalker staying alive is a miracle in and of itself, so honestly, not getting a kill, it's not the end of the world. Not going to hold it against Ice. We'll hold it against Masskill. Feels like that one, and it's nothing they could do. Deathwalker just plays it well. The tower, where it stands, makes it too difficult for them to try and dive and ensure that kill goes down. So instead, you find yourself in a weird spot. 2 ults used on either side. I guess 3 over on the side of the Titans. But it's not going to change the state of the game. Instead, it's patience. One more time. Bakasura going to have to spend some time getting all the minions back up for the Regurgitate. And honestly, Mifflin, it feels like any of these lanes. We had talked about it a little bit in Game 1, and specifically it was because Masskill was on the Mercury. Felt like maybe that was where you wanted to see them get active and control some things. For Ice, you know, outside of a retaliatory gank over on right, where should the pressure be? Should it be on the Guan Yu? Should it be in mid onto the Giannis? Like, where is Bakasura going to be, for lack of a better term, feasting?
Great into Circuit, great into Terra, really good into Giannis. I mean, Bakasura's got a lot of options here. Maybe Terra, the best of which, just because her dash is so telegraphed. Throw out any one of her Monolith or the Stone Clap, and either one, you know exactly where that dash is going, and you can catch it with the Regurgitate. So I think Terra probably one of the better places to put that aggression, especially at this portion of the game before that Gauntlet of Thieves starts to get some stacks on it. Otherwise, we brought up the Circat. I think that's great. Masskill does not have really any way to fight into Ice right now. The damage output is just so much in favor of this Bakasura. Golden Blade, perhaps a little bit less power than Jotun's Wrath for Masskill, but you have to take into account the additional power that's just maxing out Butcher Blades gives you. So power, attack speed, movement speed, all favoring Ice, and then the God matchup as well.
He's going to be able to get out of that one. Had to use the ult for the disengage, though. Good poke from the Tanuki. I think goes to showcase what this team has to offer. A lot of mobility, though. I mean, we can see when we're talking about the cripple field, it's nice. But without it, you can see how quickly and easily the Titans are able to just decide not to be in the fight anymore and back away. 8 minutes in. Maybe some pressure over on left. Ice blink forward. There's going to be the Regurgitate on to Toddy. Not going to find anything there. Goes instead for Dazer. Missing a lot of the autos, though. And it's not making a big difference. Good knock back, knock up. Good control. And the autos. Oh, they'll be there. Immel gets the credit. Good body block, but not enough. Great shot from Toddy. Makes it a 1-for-1, but jungle for support, even with the first blood. That stings.
Yeah, I mean, just disagreement from Yomi Tanuki on target selection there. Ammo and Streak Up say, all right, we are going to slam Dazer. It's going to be simple. This Terra's not fighting back, nothing we could do. And Ice said, wait, guys, right behind you, there's a Chernobog. Blinks past the Terra, throws out the Regurgitate onto the target that neither one of his side laners could get involved with. Misses out on nearly the entire value of his ultimate. And from there, sure, at least restricts the motion of the Terra. She's forced the path a little bit lower through the lane, but buys so much time for Toddy to continually throw out damage in retaliation, and eventually nets himself a kill. I think a value kill at that. Support for jungle, you'll take that most times. First blood, though, maybe enough to turn that in their favor.
Autos from Streak Up pretty good here in the lane.
Yeah, Heimdall hits hard.
And I don't know if Toddy's been expecting it too much. Shield buff spawned up. I was wondering essentially just how much Toddy was willing to commit. And the answer is not very heavily. Dazer, though, different story. Brings a monolith. Looking for the explosion on it. Not going to find that one. And instead it's talking about aggression, talking about disengage. Streak Up. Uses the Bifrost, gets out of there safely. Ice finally catches up to this side of the jungle, but there's not too much to do anymore, Mifflin. In fact, Serket collapsing in on the Kronos, misses the taunt. Well, the stun not going to connect from Zeros, neither is the damage. So a couple of autos, but not finding too much. Doom Orb online, but even with that, you can see that the Kronos almost obnoxiously slow auto attacks.
Yeah, but those auto attacks are chunking already. What was that, 128 per auto attack? I mean, how much HP could Maskill really have at this point? 13, maybe 1,400, so a good deal of bursts already starting to stack up.
God.
And there it is. I mean, connect the combo once. Zany loses out on 70% of his HP, and that's before the Desolation has been finished up. This Kronos has gone uncontested for 10.5 minutes. That farm's going to stack up quickly.
Serket. Throw back onto Deathwalker, jump forward, gets the auto. That's going to be the Stimix going in for the stun. They've got the CC, they've got the control. Deathwalker, I mean, it is death by 1,000 cuts. But so far, the cuts are still there.
We're on
Slow
cut
down,
999.
and immediately,
Where's number 1,000?
pings are coming through. Yeah, number 1,000's never going to hit. Instead, you get backup from the squad, and they get to go transformation from Immel. And a jump onto the Pyro should be a pretty easy burn. Not even a chance for a retaliatory objective play from the Titans. And so now, first blood, even though it was traded out, plus the Pyromancer, going to give the Tanuki pretty comfortable cushion to have a lead with.
Yeah, Herc, I suppose, just a bit too tanky and a bit too mobile this early. That Golden Blade, additional movement speed, doing a whole lot of work for him there to get Deathwalker out of Death's door. And now it's the Yomi Tanuki once more in the early game with a significant lead. It's not as if it's the same level as it was in Game 2, but still certainly solidly within the driver's seat are Yomi Tanuki. I think this next Gold Fury is going to be very telling. Looking at power spikes as they are and team fight presence between these teams, the heavy hitters on either side, I think junglers and soul laners are going to be very important in this next team fight. Lastemics has the opportunity and the ability to get involved, but one of the two, the junglers we were just talking about, one is removed already. Ice off the map, an easy pick for the Tartarus Titans, and Lastemics, the other keystone of victory, getting involved, catching out Amelito.
The damage is there. Leap is good, though. Body blocks, keeping him engaged, and serving it up on a silver platter. Maskill is able to pick up a second pretty easily here. Titans go from 1 to 3 in what feels like the blink of an eye. Now they get to make a play of their own onto the Fury. Gold Fury started up. And that small lead we've seen amassed for the Tanuki is going to get chunked down to virtually nothing in just a couple of plays from the Titans. Mifflin, it's a similar story that we've gotten to see, but a smaller lead, and then they win that trade. Maskill interferes with the 1v1 between Toddy and Streak Up. But you know what? It's competitive, Mifflin. You don't respect the 1v1s, you get the kill. And that's what they get done here. 4-1 now for the scoreboard. Still trailing, but just barely in terms of gold for the Titans. 13 minutes in. I'm starting to see maybe notes of success from the Chaos team.
I mean, tell me if you've heard this one before. It is an immediate pick into a fallback Gold Fury up against a team that had the lead, Yomi Tanuki, into another pick right after the objective. That's exactly how Yomi Tanuki lost game number 2. Every bit of advantage lost because they couldn't quite find their footing to group up as 5 and play with their lead. It's Ice this time. Previously, it was Ice as well in game number 2 on the Hebo on the right side. That's tough. The Tartarus Titans, they've just deathballed a bit harder than Yomi Tanuki have. That's not to say that Yomi Tanuki are completely out of it. They've done enough up until this point to keep the game competitive and keep it even, but it does not inspire confidence in Yomi Tanuki, having seen now twice that they're willing to make the same mistakes.
Well, easy pickup. Zeros, we talked about it. Does some decent damage right now, but we're waiting for the late game. And sometimes that just doesn't get here. 4-0 for the Serket. Mass kill. Definitely starting to get out of hand here. A level lead compared to the 0-2-1 Bakasura. Ice has not gotten to have as big of an impact on this game. And maybe the biggest impact we've seen him have was that death on right. I mean, it changed everything, and it feels like it's changed the course of this set. What was looking like a 2-0 for the Tanuki, slowly but surely getting dragged over. Maskill going for the play around the Bifrost. Bifrost for streak up, gets him out of there. Tick damage is only going to do so much. But they're getting zones. They're forcing relics. They're making active play on the Titans. The question right now is, how do they answer to a Pyromancer? And it's with 3. Dazer walks up. Listemics, Zany trying to join. Maskill will be here shortly thereafter. Zeros forced to use the rewind. Puts him into an awkward spot. Pyromancer dropped now by the Tanuki. Picked up by the Titans. They're controlling it, and they secure it barely, but they're able to get it. Now they're chasing the fight afterward. Portal gets the good CC onto Deathwalker. Slow burn, but they get him there and find the kill. Great stuns from Zeros. Stops that from spiraling out of control, but an objective and a kill. The Titans don't seem done just yet, pushing towards the tower in mid.
Yeah, grab this tower, go to Fire Giant after. Shriek up still on left. Deathwalker off the map for 20. Everybody full HP and 3 ultimates maintained. We're late enough in the game that you gotta think it's a possibility. Already 5 stacked on the right. You know, best case scenario for Yomi Tanuki is a 3v5 on the Fire Giant. Worst case scenario, someone else had gone back to base unseen, and it would have been a 2v5. But instead, it's a tier 1 tower and a Pyromancer, and the Tartarus Titans pretty happy with that. Go ahead and reset themselves from there. Large lead of the game so far for the Tartarus Titans, but small. And not even a comma in the gold department. We're in triple digits there, separating these squads. It's starting to get rough now for Yomi Tanuki, who have shown very little fight back in these team fights. I mean, it is a spearhead from the Tartarus Titans, usually results in an individual pick, and from there, the Yomi Tanuki have not been able to find their footing. I think it's got to start with Ice, man. I have just not seen enough from this Bakasura. Hasn't found the priority targets with the ultimate, the crits. Now starting to stack up with that Bladed Boomerang finished. It's time to start finding that value. It's got to be on a mass kill, maybe Zany. TKO is pretty valuable as well. Doesn't necessarily need to find an entire kill, but needs to do something. I mean, this Baka, he's got decent counter matchups as well. Just hasn't quite been able to leverage them.
Oni Fury started by the Tanuki. Spotted how Titans take that away, and now they're going to run forward into the fight as well. Good stun from Listemics to lead the way. Ice is forced to fall back, stuns the CC chain. It's just too much. Double kill for Toddy, and the chase is still on. Scattered to the winds are the Tanuki. And Mifflin, it's just too many losses in a row. Too much control from the Titans. Even now, Immel, just trying to salvage something. 8 kills to 1, a stolen objective, and what is soon and fast approaching 3,000 gold.
It's gotta be a fire right now, Gore, right?
I mean, why not?
They're still 2 dead for 5 more seconds. They're working their way over there. They're getting involved.
Yeah,
You know, Listemics is getting things started. Toddy's there. It's time to pull it.
Boulder from Deathwalker, I would say, is maybe the one saving grace. Had to teleport over to the tower. It's going to take him a little bit to get here. Nobody else really hanging around. Zeros has eyes, but the CC is going to be there. Walls connect, and then the stun afterward. I mean, it's just nothing you can do about that one. You get burned down and forced back. Boulder gets dropped early for the fight. Now you don't have your secure for the objective. Fire Giant dropped completely by the Titans. The kill on to Zeros. 25 seconds without him, with 3 members of the Tanuki hanging around.
Good stun.
A little bit of damage goes a long way. Titans try to lead forward with their best foot. They're not going to find anything there. You got to think, okay, the taunt's missing, maybe slows that one down. At least in mid. Bifrost gets streak up out of there. TKO on 1, Zero's just now respawning. Maybe this is the opening that the Titans needed to feel secure in their Fire Giant play.
Maybe, but the pick that they had acquired on the Zeros, he's already back, and not much has changed. Bede's still gone for 60 seconds, means Lestemics with his ultimate back up. That cavalry charge likely would just force out the rewind or take Zeros' life. Fire Giant, maybe not easy to take down at this point. Pyromancer certainly is and will fall. 0 defense from Yomi Tanuki around this one. Another Runic Bomb means 2 in pocket, 2,000 burst. The drop of a hat around the Fire Giant. Unmatchable damage from Yomi Tanuki. I like to see the Tartarus Titans continue doing what they have been, which is leveraging their lead, playing aggressively, and not allowing Yomi Tanuki to farm up on map. Go back to base, regroup, move to the Fire Giant, rinse, repeat until eventually the Fire Giant goes your way. It seems simple. But the Tartarus Titans have got a couple more avenues to play through. With double globals between Zany and Toddy, means that you could go for a bit of a split push. Toddy's certainly the better of the two at that style of play. You want Zany there and constantly putting out poke. Whereas Toddy can push out left and then immediately ult over towards the team fight should it begin. Or could force someone to rotate to defend and then ult over to the team fight that he's forced now with a 5v4 advantage. Instead, it's meandering from the Tartarus Titans. A couple members in mid, a couple members hovering the right side, and neither one of them, neither groups of them, quite able to get much done here.
Nimble starts out as just a slow shred, turns into something a little bit more than that. Transformation is there, stun immediately afterward. No escape for the Fafnir. Now the engage is going. One frontliner gone, the second one shortly thereafter. Titans, 11-1 is the kills. 59,000 gold to the 54,000 that Tanuki have picked up. Now we're talking Fire Giant. Scattered to the winds of the carries because there's just nothing you can do about this. And Mifflin, again, it's one catastrophic play in Game 2 that shifts things up into, admittedly, another catastrophic play in Game 2. And now we're starting to see the Titans surge forward. A team, unfortunately, is going to miss the taunts here. Goes for the ult. Zeros tries to fight this back. Rewind's going to work out somewhat. Gets him away from the Circuit.
He's dead.
Behind to the waiting arms of everyone else. Forces a lot of the relics. I mean, forcing a lot of things. So Zeros is getting everything that he can pulled. But you could probably slap the Benny Hill music on that one. He's just running around in circles for the inevitable. And it is now 12 kills for the Titans. And Mifflin, they just do not seem to be slowing down too much.
I mean, slowed down to take their kill, but should now speed back up around the structures. Gore, I'd said a little bit earlier we need to see more from the Bakasura. I did not have tangible evidence of what I meant by that until I looked at the bottom left-hand side of my screen, and I mean the absolute bottom left.
Yeah, you got to go far.
Yeah, you got to go pretty far down that graph. 2,900 damage? That is just not enough. Dude's critting for like 400. Yeah, that's 5 auto attacks. They call it 6 auto attacks from Bakasura if he's a bit lucky with the crits. Ice has gotta find something to do on map. Targets are there. We had talked about it earlier. The Circuit matchup in the late game feels really good for the Bakasura. Haven't seen that attempted, not even once, not just yet. It's been a whole lot of drop ultimate for CC immunity, jump over wall, and pray that you could run away. And that is just not going to cut it if Yomi Tanuki want to find some sort of footing in these team fights. Still an entire minute left on this Fire Giant power play and plenty of gold to collect on map. Deathwalker too far forward. Thrown back and finished off by Maskill.
Yeah, sometimes it's just that easy. Titans get rid of one of the frontliners 45 seconds before Deathwalker's back. Tier 2 in mid was the last tower standing for the Tanuki. Then they're going to change lane, go left. Try to get a little bit of aggression onto this Phoenix. 40 seconds left in the power play. Relic's still down right now for Zero, so has to play carefully. Ult is there. We've seen sometimes that can only get you so far. Good stun onto Lastimics, but a great shot instead from Zany, and that's going to open this up. Can they close the gap? No, it's going to be the
Yikes.
rewind, but that puts them in a bad spot. Will it punish them? No. Instead, Maskill finally shut down 6-1 and 7 for the Circuit. A second kill for the Tanuki, a massive one at that. But they lose the Phoenix. In the meantime, Mifflin, you get one big play in your favor. But it feels like you lose so much alongside it.
Man, Zany's 15 power away, like little stat power away from ending the game right there with that ultimate. That was how good it was. Nearly able to finish off Zeros. A red buff and an extra item would have just been the difference. Instead, has to head back to base, spend up some of that gold, and get ready for the next Fire Giant. This time, though, with a map state advantage. And Ice got involved in that team fight. It was late, and it was in his own back line. But he catches Maskill with the ultimate, realizes, wait, hold on. I kind of deal a lot of damage to this squishy. And now should have the confidence knowing that it is a 1v1 that he can win going forward. Yomi Tanuki also notch a Gold Fury on their belt, so a little bit more resources in their back pocket. Is it enough to allow them to defend the Fire Giant? I don't think so. I don't think they should step up to it at all. But it's starting to slowly build up. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with 1. And if the SPL is any indicator, the journey of the turtle starts at 25 minutes. You can start sitting in your base, collecting gold, waiting for that 6th slot. There'll be some opportunities. Yomi Tanuki, though, do not seem content to wait. They'd rather hunt, and they've left the base. Zeros without beads now. Very easy target.
A lot of trouble. It's maybe being brought to their doorstep. Himmelito taking too much damage in the process. Toddy makes it up to the air. Comes crashing back down. That's going to be a nice little reset for them. But can this be the opening the Tanuki needed? A lot of low health bars. Lastimics being one of them, but it doesn't seem like they have enough to lock him down. Instead, Zany turns on Immel. They still haven't got the solo laner. Finally, Zeros is going to get it, but like you said, the relics, they're gone. The beads were gone. It's just a double kill for the honest Zany, doing everything he can. 4-0 and 7. The slash lines have never looked better for the Titans backliners. And it's going to be the small reset onto the Fire Giant. A little bit of CC. Ice jumps forward at this point. Sometimes you got to go for Hail Mary plays. This might be one of those moments. They try to lead the way.
Bye.
Too much CC, too much damage. Boulder not able to connect Zany through the wall. Zany's done so much, and now the team steps up to take his place, get things done. Deathwalker put down 4 in the ground. It's a small reset, but Mifflin, the control there for the Titans, it's massive.
It is, and they've desynced the deaths of Yomi Tanuki. So Lastimics, the first to die for the Tartarus Titans, will have time to respawn before the Fire Giants even knock down. Yomi Tanuki tries so hard to buy time for themselves, but instead have only made the Tartarus Titans even stronger, giving up additional gold, experience, and now Fire Giants their 5th member. And Dazer's the only one worse for wear. Will be able to head back to base and completely reset himself. Thin margins, though. Less than 100 HP separates Zany from the realm of the dead and the land of the living. Fortunately for him and all the Tartarus Titans fans out there, it's the land of the living, the side that he lands on as he limps himself back to base. Now Yomi Tanuki have a true base defense ahead of them. It's no more tier 2s to meander about. There's no more Gold Furies or Pyromancers to put up defenses around in neutral territory. It is just playing on your Titan. And you haven't got a standard mage. You haven't got a standard initiator. Not out of the Guardian role, at least. Maybe Deathwalker could do the work for your team. And Ice just has not had a whole lot to say in these team fights. I'm not so certain base defense going to look good from Yomi Tanuki. The Tartarus Titans, on the other hand, have got ability to burn through the Phoenixes, have got the ability to do actual DPS to these structures, but similarly have not got a standard mage. The AoE damage going to be a bit lacking here.
Keep eyes on Zany. I think that ult the last few times, I mean, it's gone massive for them in terms of opening up the conversation, opening up kills. You had even called it out at one point. It was almost the separator between ending the game if he kills off Zeros. With the one-tap shot over the wall, though, Maskill jumps. Meanwhile, frontliners for the Tanuki going to get aggressive. Zeros falls down low, and Maskill is able to chase down that kill, separated from the fight around the Phoenix. Now in a good position for the jungler. Trying to keep things going, gets aggressive. There's going to be a ton. Good crits as well, and it's going to ring true onto Streak Up. That's a kill onto the backliners. A double kill for the jungler. It doesn't even matter that he loses his life, but Ice returns it in kind. Gets rid of the carry, rid of the jungler. Forces the Titans to fall back. It's a 20-5 kill lead, but remember, that gap was a lot larger not too long ago. Titans fall back. Mifflin, they're going to play this one a little patient after the defense goes well for the Tanuki.
The last couple base defenses have seen Ice double his damage both times, from 2 to 4,000, now 4 to 8. In the last couple of fights, seems like the stratagem is have Ice wait for the absolute limit. Every single one of those cooldowns need to be removed. Then this Bakasura can start getting his work done. Is it ideal for the rest of Yomi Tanuki? Absolutely not. But has done a good deal of remedying Ice's stat line here. Finds 2 kills. One of the best KD on his team for now, and damage starting to climb up a bit. The Tartarus Titans, they need to clean up that siege a bit as well. I would have liked to have seen Maskill wait a little bit longer before jumping behind the Phoenix. But nothing ventured, nothing gained, and Maskill always a player that's willing to get proactive. Costs him here, but in other games can certainly have just ended it immediately for his team. And when you've got as much of a lead as the Tartarus Titans do, you're allowed to make a few mistakes, I think. Yeah. It's not going to cost you a whole lot. Yomi Tanuki, going to be a while. I would say maybe 1 or 2 more base defenses before they're going to be the ones actually sieging up against the Tartarus Titans themselves. Ice can't let this happen. Caught out. Listemics didn't love the chase, though. Didn't trust Dazer on the stun. So Ice, the only thing he's going to lose is his ultimate.
The only time, like you said, you see a lead like this disappears if all those mistakes either happen in quick succession or maybe all at once. That's what we saw in Game 2. Right now, like you said, afforded a little bit of wiggle room. Again, for those of you watching, especially if you're tuning in around 1, SBL, going to be coming up right after this game. Ferryman and Leviathans, saw them getting ready in the hallway. Excited to see what those two teams have to offer us. Right now, though, it seems like the ball is in the Titans' court. 10,000 gold. Fire Giant's going to be spawned in. It's enhanced this time around as well, Mifflin. This fight, not normally one I would advocate for if you're the Tanuki. Maybe sitting under the base, maybe defending is what you should be doing. Sometimes you got to get proactive on the map. Maybe this is the moment to do so. Ice, half health.
No jump.
No jump, but no chase either. Seems like Toddy
There's the chase.
is going to leave it. There it is, up into the sky, comes crashing down.
Got his jump back while we were thinking about it, though.
Jump and blink. Creates a little bit of a gap. Chasing Ice to the ends of the earth, though. The rest of the team fighting around the FG pit. Deathwalker gets some good boulder damage onto Maskill. Dazer is getting shredded. This might be a good opportunity for the Tanuki. They leap forward. The Fire Giant's even getting in on it, trying to get some damage. Good taunts from Maskill.
Whoa, Flaming Blink.
Keeps this in place. Flaming Blink gets a lot of good damage, but keeps this controlled. Left side Phoenix. Toddy picks it up despite Ice trying to defend. Keeping everybody alive there on both squads, important. But that's a good refresher for the Titans. Keeps aggression available on the base.
Streak Up and Emelito, the last bastion of defense to the right-hand side. May have walked a bit too far forward, Deathwalker. The teleport in behind, punch no good. Got to get the strike to land before the driving happens. Deathwalker misses that critical juncture. And we had seen the teleport canceled a little bit earlier in the fight. I thought maybe there was a bit of CC that I just missed. It's actually the left side Phoenix that is just taken by Toddy, who was able to force Ice all the way back to the fountain and take the Phoenix in quick succession. Now it's the Tartarus Titans once more. Defensive positioning of the Fire Giant pit established. And Yomi Tanuki, we're going to have to fight forward into a vision disadvantage. Never easy, especially at a deficit. 10,000 gold separating these two teams. That's elixirs, that's potions, that's upgraded relics, and 6 slotted items. All luxuries that the Yomi Tanuki have not got for themselves. And with Toddy keeping up his split push, I just rotate over to the left, force it back, walk into the Titan room with those minions, and then ult to the team fight if need be.
Might not even need to ult to the team fight. Depends on the 1v1. Has the minions. Playing carefully. Bakasura is there.
Here he comes.
There's going to be the ult. Joins in. 5v4 suddenly on the right-hand side, and then melted is Deathwalker's health bar. They just need the last couple of hits. It doesn't even matter there. Maskill is getting work done elsewhere. Takes out Streak Up. They take out Deathwalker. That's 2 pillars of this team eliminated, and Maskill's not done yet. Ice getting some good damage out there, but there,
he's in the wall.
The dash into the wall, it avoids the damage, and it brings the jungler to his demise. 4 gone from the Tanuki, and just on the border of making it a DSI. They'll ignore the Fafnir who needs him. Let's run it down right into the Titan room. Take this set from the 1-0 deficit. The Titans, Mifflin, they're coming out on top today.
Zany, low HP, but secures the kill nonetheless with nobody left standing. Yomi Tanuki can only watch on in horror as their Titan does eventually fall in the second hour of gameplay that we've got here. Each one of these games goes the distance, 35 minutes, but it's the Tartarus Titans, perhaps for the first time this set, in a convincing position.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an early game start that transitions into a mid-game lead that they held on to the entire time. Great plays. I think massive jungle diff. Let's not split hairs. Maskill just does so much more than Ice throughout this game. I loved Lestimix's performance on this Guan Yu, chasing out priority targets consistently. How often do Zeros start up a team fight with 1,000 damage and then immediately get stunned and forced back to base, either in a body bag or in a TKO? It was every team fight. I'll go ahead and answer that one for you. Team fight diff, objective diff, early game diff, all Tartarus Titans.
And you know what? They look good doing it. It's a team, if you're looking at the Tanuki, struggled so far this phase to find their wins. And Mifflin, you got to give credit where credit is due. You had mentioned the jungle, and I think that is definitely an easy talking point. I do think, though, Zany has to be shouted out, right? I think everybody on this team plays well. Lestimix, Dazer for their setup, Maskill for a lot of the dive that we got to see, Toddy for a majority of the plays at the very end of the game, right? Really good use of the ult. Zany's damage numbers and Zany's presence in these team fights was felt in every aspect of this game, and it made a genuine difference for the Titans, having a Giannis that was just chunking people down left and right, sometimes without even sweating.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimates were landing on the siege. That's massive. And he found priority targets consistently. That's what happens when a Giannis is afforded the luxury of not being concerned with an assassin chasing him around the jungle. So often we'll see hypermobile assassins like Thor or Susano in answer to Giannis say, okay, yeah, you can jump through a wall. I dare you. I'll chase you through it, and I'll win the fight on the other side. Instead, Zany had a 2K Bakasura looking at him from across the map, right?
Yep.
So given that freedom, Zany's going to look real good.
0 deaths on the mid laner, 8-0-9, 10-2-12 for Maskill, and then 7-2-13. And of course, when your front lines are both 0-1 with a stack of assists, 17 for Lestimix, 20 for Dazer, you really see where the victory was, right? Front line keeping the back line safe, back line hardly any deaths, whole lot of damage, whole lot of kills and assists to show for it. Just well played by the Titans. But like you said, it was the first time, the first game that set that it feels like they actually got control. Game 1 sometimes feels like they're fighting back, but definitely falls behind. Game 2, of course, they make some insane plays to get themselves right back into that game. And then Game 3, they kind of choke them out. So the way things have been going for them, you have to imagine feeling pretty solid about the future. And speaking of the future, Mifflin, things that we're going to be seeing today, a little bit later on today, and this is later, the Ravens are going to be taking on the Gladiators. SPL, first set, Ferryman taking on the Leviathans. I'm sure a lot of people right now who are watching are anticipating this set, and honestly is one that I'm actually really anticipating as well. Of course, this entire week, it feels like, is just stacked with these, but I know zoning in on this, I almost don't want to ask you any questions about it, because I know in about 10-ish minutes or so, me and you are going to be the ones talking about it.
Don't take away my ammo, man.
So instead, we'll hold on for a little bit longer. And I'll, you know what? I'll look towards the future, and we can tell everybody at home about the future as well. Not just those sets that I was talking about for today, but some of the exciting ones I think that you're going to get to see throughout this entire weekend. The Dragons and the Hounds tomorrow. Another one I'm really excited for. Of course, Kings Warriors on Sunday. And I'm going to even give it Hounds Ravens. Another one that I personally am looking forward to. A lot of good sets this week, some of which can have some pretty big standing implications depending on how things go. If you're in the Chaos Division right now in the SBL, and that's maybe a conversation we'll dive maybe even deeper into in a bit. If you're in that side, though, things are a little rough if you're not the Warriors. It is hard to try and claim first. Remember, for the SBL at least, and even for these SCC guys, a this conversation is the path to Masters. That's where they're trying to go, and that's what their focus is. So a good win for the Titans here means that they're on the right trajectory. And, of course, for the SBL teams, they're still trying to figure out where they want to be, if they'll get that direct line or if they have to play through the playoffs in just a few weeks. But for now, it's going to close out the SCC. It's going to close out this sort of almost pregame desk. We're going to go to a quick break, and then when we get back, SBL is going to begin.